The gorgeous Madras International Circuit welcomes us once again for round 3 of the Indian Racing League. Live from the Madras International Circuit, right here in Irugatukotte, Chennai. It is a fantastic weekend, and if yesterday was anything to go by, today is going to be very, very special as well. A Super Sunday in store at the IRL, and we've got 24 drivers to enthrall us with a sprint race, a feature race, and for me to talk through it all, I've got the company of a multiple national champion, Gaurav Dalal, alongside me. Gaurav, yesterday we saw everything. We saw the rain gods play a part. We saw the drivers put on a great show as well. It was a memorable day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone here looking in. But looking forward to round 3 of Indian Racing League. Looking forward to what action is up for us now.
And I think what we saw yesterday, we saw the youngsters impress. We saw a lot of action on track, because when you take a look at what happened in that sprint race, things seemed to go to plan at the start for Alistair Young. He got off to a great start, kept his nose clean through the first few corners. Anandit as well followed him through in that other car from Hyderabad. But Akhil Rabindra got off to a great start for the Blackbirds from Hyderabad. Through those first couple of laps, Gaurav, things were very, very calm. And we saw some great overtaking from some youngsters too.
Absolutely calm. I think Alistair got a brilliant start, and the rest of the rest of the lineup, as in, was in order, apart from some midfield overtaking maneuvers that we saw from our superstar here.
Absolutely. This is where things got going nicely in the battle. You got Ruhan Alva in the mix, and behind him it was Rishon Rajiv, but not for long, because he pulled off that move into C4. Then, not just once, but twice had to pull off the same move, and he was very, very impressive. We saw the two Chennai cars battle as well.
Yes, Chennai, of course, we would have loved them to battle up in front, but of course, Rain Gods wanted to come and race with us as well.
And when the Rain Gods came down, unfortunately for Akhil Rabindra, he had a spin, and that meant from second spot, he went down all the way to 5th. He's lucky that the race did get called off when it did, because it meant that it goes back a lap, and Akhil Rabindra still managed to finish 5th. But the domination for the Hyderabad side ended. Let's just give you a run of the results. Alistair Young for Godspeed Kochi in the end winning that race. It was rain curtailed. Then Rishon Rajiv with a tremendous drive in second spot. Finishing the podium spots was Lola Lovenfors. She had a great drive for the Blackbirds Hyderabad side. Akash Gowda in 4th. He was impressive before he had a bit of trouble with his car. But Akhil Rabindra rounding out the top 5. Ruhan Alva with what was seemingly a really solid drive for Godspeed Kochi in 6th. So 1st and 6th for the Kochi side. Gabriela Yilkova, Sandeep Kumar, Nicole Havada, Anshul Gandhi, then rounding out the squad. But
what we have to see very important on that table is the top 6.
Yeah.
It's all just 3 teams. Just Kochi, Hyderabad and Delhi. They've actually clocked in some good points, valuable points.
Yeah, we had the Bangalore driver as well, Rishon Rajiv, slipping in the mix there, and he was really impressive.
He did a brilliant job. His entire move with Ruhan was perfect. And C4 is actually a lovely location to take, as in they did have a little contact, but all part of racing, and he did a brilliant job.
Yeah, if you get that run out of C3, you get that long run into C4. But there's so much to talk about heading into this big Sunday. Let's head down to Sukhmani and Xerxes for more.
Hi everyone, my name is Sukhmani Sadana.
And I'm Xerxes Wadia.
And welcome back to the Indian Racing League 2020-22, where today is round 3, day 2, and we are back at the Madras International Circuit once again.
And we saw Hyderabad's domination being put to rest yesterday as Godspeed Kochi took the podium with Bangalore Speedsters and then Hyderabad. So it's anybody's game right now.
Absolutely, and once again we have a sprint race and a feature race today, which is always really exciting because it's for 35 minutes and the players swap, making it super exciting.
But, I mean, why are you wearing a cap?
It's hot and sunny. What do you expect me to do, Xerxes?
It could also be raining. Didn't you see yesterday how the weather just switches?
Well, that is absolutely true. The weather here has an equally important part to play, which is what makes it really exciting.
And nobody can predict what is going to come back, is why we're going to analyze this in the studio.
Changeable weather, we love it here in Chennai. December always brings us that. And the one driver that did seem to enjoy it, Alistair Young, kept his nose clean at the start, kept going to the end. But for Team Kochi overall, good results for them. They had Ruhan and Alistair.
Good, brilliant results. As in, I think they're a very composed team. And like I said before, with Fabian also there, she's really putting these youngsters together. And her post-race, I have noticed the way she gathers them, and they discuss the entire track. So Fabian, Ruhan, Alistair, and
Nikhil,
Nikhil. I think four of them make a very nice Kochi team, very young and vibrant Kochi team, which is performing for them.
Yeah, they are young, they are vibrant, but we've also got another young man who's impressed us. Rishon Rajiv, for me, actually was the driver of that sprint race. The way he made that move into C4, not once, but twice on Ruhan Alva, he made it count and then found himself in second spot, courtesy of that spin. What a drive from him, Gaurav.
No, he's a very composed driver, as in absolutely composed, and doesn't have too much of experience, but he's showing what he's made up of. So I'm sure he's got a bright future in motorsport.
He does. He's a national karting champion, Rishon Rajiv, and he's making it count in the IRL. Let's get to know him a bit better.
Hi, my name is Rishon Rajiv and I'm from Bangalore and I race for Bangalore Speedsters. I started my racing career when I was 11 years old in 2017. I started go-karting in India, finished third in my first ever championship in the Micromax category. Then went on to win the Junior Max category in 2020. And now I made my single-seater debut last year in the MRFF 1600s. Came third in the championship and now I've been selected for the Indian Racing League. So the reason why I like racing is because of the thrill of speed, and trying to get the car to the limit is always fun, and that's what I look forward to every session I drive. For me, it's the first time driving with teams. I've always been in a single driver in a team. Now, being selected for the Indian Racing League, I'm of course very grateful for this opportunity.
Rishon Rajiv, very, very impressive pedigree so far already, Gaurav. And for someone who's come through the karting ranks, that's something I guess a lot of us growing up in the 90s and 2000s didn't have. They've got the luxury of a good karting championship too.
No, the karts today are actually equally fast, if not faster than racing cars. And the control that you need to have while karting, it takes a toll on your body. So it's not about talent, it's about fitness as well. So obviously Rishon is working towards his fitness really well.
You know, there's so many youngsters that have impressed so far in the IRL. The likes of Amir Syed, you've got Ruhan Alva, Rishon Rajiv as well.
Akash Gowda.
Akash Gowda too. It really is a platform, Gaurav, for a lot of these young men to make a mark in the international racing scene, to actually have a platform where they can showcase that talent.
No, absolutely. And it's not just them showcasing the talent on TV and on track. It's about even the experienced drivers like Neil Jani coming and seeing them drive. So he's going to go back with some valuable feedback and info about these drivers, saying that, hey, as in he works closely with the Red Bulls, with the Porsches, and not to forget he's a Le Mans winner. So he's got a lot of backing with him. So his word actually counts. So he's going to go back and say, guys, hey, these 3-4 Indian drivers are doing well.
Yeah, well done to these young men and women who've done a great job so far this season. Plenty of action still to come on this Super Sunday of racing here at the IRL. We'll take a short breather, but on the other side, there is race 2 of the weekend, sprint race 2, and we'll also have the feature race later in the day. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Madras International Circuit. We're all set for sprint race number 2 of the weekend. Shahan Ali Mohsin on pole alongside John Lancaster. Then Amir Syed for the Goa Aces in third alongside Bianca Bustamante from Philippines. And in the third row, you've got Nikhil Bora and Parth Gorpade, followed by Kevin Miroka and Fabian. Then Ollie Webb and Neil Jani, two experienced campaigners on the second last row, on the fifth row, followed by Mitch Gilbert and Anindit Reddy in the last row. Now, you look at that grid lineup.
It's a brilliant grid.
It is, because at the start, on that front row, you've got John Lancaster in second. You've got Shahan Ali, the youngster, on pole. Good opportunity for them, and we've seen the starts that John has been getting.
I think this has been a brilliant mix of the grid. So we have experienced campaigners right in front, right at the back, and we have some good youngsters right through the grid. So I think John is going to make use of it. The last weekend of racing, right from the back, he did, in the start itself, pull on 4-5 places. So it's going to be interesting to watch John at the start.
Yeah, will be good for the Chennai Turbo riders if they can get their side out in front. But then at the back, Gaurav, you've got guys like Neil Jani, Ollie Webb, you've got Mitch Gilbert, Anindit. An opportunity for them to break through the pack and really make a charge.
It's like the top 4 seeds are right at the back.
Yeah.
So they're going to fight their way, claw their way through the grid, through the pack, which is going to be an interesting race.
Yeah, we've got the cars lining up on the grid. But in the center as well, you've got guys like Kevin Miroka making his debut in the IRL, someone with Formula 2 experience. You've got Fabian in the mix too, and also Nikhil Bora, who showed tremendous pace so far.
Yes. No, it's going to be interesting right through. I think the top 4, the middle 4, and the bottom 4 are all interesting over here.
I really like the way this grid is placed. Quite often we see the quickest guys out in front, but this is where qualifying for your teammate makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Being a team sport, not an individual sport, the teammate qualified for you. So Akash Gowda has made sure that he's put, who's on pole?
It is Shahan Ali Mohsin.
Shahan Ali Mohsin, yeah. So thanks to his teammate, he's there on pole. And it puts Neil Jani right at the back. So like I said, as in this grid is really nicely mixed up. It's going to be a very interesting race to come forward.
Yeah, yesterday we saw the local lad Sandeep Kumar put his teammate John Lancaster in second spot as well. For the Chennai Turbo riders, Gaurav, it's a big opportunity because they've got their home crowd here. We've seen a lot of fanfare around that side.
Yeah, absolutely. As in both their cars in the first 3 rows. So in P2 and P6, Parth Gorpade is also there in P6. So it's going to be interesting for Chennai. They need to make sure they maintain this.
We've got live shots off the grid just lining up. Those are the 2 Chennai sides. Cars in yellow. You've got John Lancaster on the front row of the grid. You've got Parth Gorpade on the 3rd row in 5th spot. Obviously, Shahan Ali Mohsin for Delhi on pole. Bianca Bustamante, also an opportunity for her. Bianca, very young girl coming in from the Philippines for the Bangalore Speedsters.
The youngest on the grid. Bianca is hardly just about 16 and she's half my size. So when I see her, it's like one little schoolgirl walking on the grid. But brilliant experience as well. She's doing well in her challenges that she's participating at.
There is the pole man, Shahan Ali Mohsin. For him, nerves now, Gaurav. I mean, you've been on pole a lot at this circuit. What's going through his mind?
So pole is a very, very crucial spot to be on. As in, you've got everything to lose. So you have to make sure you nail the start. And this being a rolling start, not many of them have actually done rolling starts. It's probably just his second rolling start. So you need to nail the rolling start and make sure you get to the corner, the C1, where you have John going to be at your neck. But I'm actually, with John's experience, I think he's going to be ahead.
Yeah, the run to turn 1 is going to be really, really interesting. We've got the grid lined up. The drivers getting set for sprint race 2. Let's take you downstairs to Somil, who's got a nice little grid walk coming your way.
And welcome along, folks, to the grid. This is where all the action happens before the race. And we've got Shahan Ali Mohsin for Speed Demons Delhi on pole position. I want to see if I can get a word with him. He's currently a little bit busy with one of his driver coaches. So we shall come back to Shahan when we can. But let's also see who else have we got over here. We've got John Lancaster in second. And folks, this is the drive we've got to watch out for. Because John Lancaster in Saturday's sprint race, last time out, went from 9th to 3rd. That is amazing. He's a master of starts. But let's see if I can get to Shahan. Shahan, do you have a moment? How are you, man? How's it going? P1?
It's going all right. I'm happy to be starting P1, but having some car issues, just fixing that out.
Car issues, that must be scary. What goes on in your mind when you're sitting on the grid when there's not much you can control?
I want to perform my best. I think we have the pace of P1 if everything goes all right. I'm just thinking what would I be doing in the first lap, the race, making a strategy. Yeah.
So what is the strategy? Can you tell us? Can you not? Are you going to keep it a secret?
No. After the
No worries. All the best, Shan. Have a good one. That, folks, Shan Ali Mohsin of Speed Demons Delhi. Let's see if we can get a word with John Lancaster of Chennai Turbo Riders, because that's a fight, right? John has so much of experience. He's raced so many sports cars, so many different cars. He knows this circuit, this car inside out. Let's see if we can get to John for a second. John, can I have a word with you for a second? How are you feeling right now? Second on the grid. It's a good position to be in. Home race for the team as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll try to put on a good show. Make a nice aggressive start. A little bit of an engine temperature thing just to fix at the minute, but apart from that, everything should be okay. It's going to be an interesting race and hopefully nice and lots of action.
Is that weigh heavy on your mind that there's something that could potentially happen to the car?
I can't do anything about it, so no.
And also, what about the start? Last time, as I mentioned on screen, P9 to P3. What's the plan this time? Stick to the inside?
If there's a gap on the inside, that would be nice. If not, then I'll be trying to do what Alistair did, but complete it and go around the outside.
Should be fun, John. All the very best. Folks, that's John Lancaster for Chennai Turbo Riders. These two are going to be really, really fun to watch. So, now we shall get to the race in a short bit. But first, let's throw it to the studio.
Thanks for that, Somil. Just thinking about the body language, I just find that John Lancaster is the more confident of those two men on the front row, Gaurav.
Absolutely. That was exactly what I was going to say. As in, Shahan is a little jittery over here. And he did mention that there was some problem or issue with his setup and with the way the car was handling through his warm-up lap. So, like I said, John, the most experienced campaigner, I think the run to turn one is going to be his.
The run to turn one, the start is always thrilling for all of us. But what else gives our drivers a thrill on and off track? Let's find out.
My highest thrill on track, clearly winning a race.
The speed, for sure, the speed.
It's driving in close company, racing other guys and girls wheel to wheel.
I like this kind of sport and especially the fight with the other cars on track.
Going wheel to wheel, defending, overtaking, all those moments.
When you feel the speed, when you feel the air and the wind on the helmet, it gives such a good feeling and it just excites you more.
The adrenaline, the overtakes, and to push every car on the limit.
Fighting with other competitors and close battles, overtaking and defending, as it's really exciting and it's always...
Definitely one of the fun thing about racing is that when you're in the car, you're very equal. There's no man or woman, there's just driver.
Feeling one with the car, so important in this sport. You've got not long before the start of this sprint race too. You've got Ollie Webb and Neil Jani towards the back of the grid. Where do you think they're going to end up by the end of lap one, Gaurav?
Oh, wow. Well, they've got Fabian in front of them. So Neil Jani's got a tough job ahead of him. But I think with his experience and if the opportunity shows, he's going to take it. As in, if he sees a little gap, he's going to plunge in. And I think probably 2 places in front of Fabian at the end of lap 1.
Get the shoulders out, get the shoulders out. Give us something exciting to watch. We're going to be heading straight into live action on the other side of a short breather. Stick around. We'll come right back to the Madras International Circuit where the grid is lined up and we've got racing action coming your way.
Race 2, round 3 of the Indian Racing League 2022, and here's your starting grid. Shahan Ali Mohsin in pole position for Speed Demons Delhi alongside John Lancaster for the Chennai Turbo Riders, Amir Syed of the Goa Aces and Bianca Bustamante of Bangalore Speedsters on row 2. Then the Godspeed Kochi driver Nikhil Bora alongside Chennai Turbo Riders man Parth Gopade, and then Kevin Marocca for Goa Aces, Fabian Volven for Godspeed Kochi. Oliver Webb is not there on P9 of the grid for the Bangalore Speedsters. Neil Jani is alone then for the Hyderabad Blackbirds in P10. Then Anindith Reddy, his teammate, alongside Mitch Gilbert for Speed Demons Delhi in P12 of the grid. We're not entirely sure yet whether Oliver Webb is going to take the start or not. They did have some problems in practice, and the car is being rebuilt. Whether they've done it in time or not remains to be seen. I'm Jake Sanson, beside me Suhail Chandok. Let's go. This is going to be a great race.
This is going to be a super Sunday indeed, Jake. Thanks for having me. Welcome to everyone that's watching our coverage of the IRL. It's an iconic circuit in India. We have loved coming here year after year, but for the IRL to be here to kick off a Sunday, and based on what we saw yesterday, Jake, we are in for some fantastic action, and more so because we've got someone like Neil Jani towards the back of the grid. You've got a John Lancaster for Chennai at the front of the grid alongside Shahan Ali Mohsin, and we heard from John Lancaster earlier. He sounds a bit more confident than Shahan at the front row, and that's going to be an impressive run to the first corner.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because you've got an 18-year-old superstar who's the reigning national F1600 champion here in India from 2021 against a former European Le Mans Series champion. This is a very tough position for Shahan Ali Mohsin and the Speed Demons Delhi team to be in. Don't forget, they are bottom of the standings. They had that miracle pole position from Akash Gowda in Q2 yesterday in very tricky conditions. Now the pressure is on the 18-year-old on the front of the grid. Now, an interesting one going into this one, Suhail. I was speaking to Speed Demons Delhi before the start of this race. They had an option to change the gearbox on the pole position man's car. They elected not to do it because if they were going to change gearbox, that would have been a 5-place grid penalty. That would have dropped them to P6 of the grid. So it's a little bit tenuous from pole position. And look, he struggled there a little bit to get away. That could become a problem.
I'm with you. I actually think they should have just taken that gamble, changed the gearbox if it was giving them any issues whatsoever. But they want pole. You can understand it from a young man like Shahan Ali Mohsin wants to start at the front of the grid. He's got someone like John Lancaster who will give him the full charge heading into C1. But I think the exit of C3 leading up to C4 is going to be that first overtaking opportunity as well after that first run to the first corner. Now remember everyone, it is a rolling start at the Indian Racing League. So this formation lap behind the safety car will get the drivers' tyres warmed up, getting set for that rolling start. And that's something a lot of these youngsters haven't had the experience of, Jake. And it's something that, again, could play into the likes of Neil Jani, John Lancaster, guys like even Kevin Marocca.
Really to watch for off the start here. John Lancaster from the outside of that front row of the grid. He's going to want to go ugly early and give the Chennai Turbo Riders a win on home soil. You've also got Nikhil Bora, P5 on the grid. They want to double up after yesterday's win for Alistair Young. He wants to come through and take his own race victory. That'll be an interesting one to watch. And of course, you've got the two Hyderabad Blackbirds, 10th and 11th on the grid, and even the feisty Mitch Gilbert, who took a podium last week, starting dead last. There's so much to look forward to.
Yeah, I think 10, 11, 12, Neil Jani, Anindith, Mitch Gilbert, those three are going to charge. There they are, number 12, Mitch Gilbert at the back of the grid. But as you said, at the front, someone like John Lancaster, he's got that hunger as well. He loves being here in India. He's going to want to win here.
Well, one of the guys I decided to go and have a word with before the start of this race is the man sitting in P6 for the Chennai Turbo Riders, Parth Gopade. I was asking about him, what is your feeling going into this one? He says, I have never sweated more at the start of a race. And he knows going into this is going to be a battle, not just of tactics, not just of speed, but of pure survival.
Yeah, this is going to be a battle of attrition. Parth Gopade, he's been around the block a long time. He's raced in the European Le Mans Series as well, Asian Le Mans too. He's done a lot of single-seater racing. His dad, very, very keen to support Parth Gopade. He's a good kid. He's been around the Indian racing scene a long time, but those results haven't come his way in a while. So he'll be very, very keen to get this race underway, and those sweats start to disappear after the first few corners.
So the safety car peels in, and we are now ready to go into the unknown. For so many drivers, this is going to be a test of their skill. It's a topsy-turvy grid. There's going to be a lot of overtakes and a lot of drama as they come off the final turn. This could be the race of the season in the Indian Racing League, and we are racing at Chennai. Up to the first corner, a cracking start from John Lancaster, but he chooses not to go aggressive early. He hangs in behind Shane Alamozin. A good start from Bianca Bustamante. She's come up into third position. A good start from the youngster, and off the road in the background goes the Goa Aces number 7. That is game over for Kevin Morocca. He's going to get going again at the back, but the Polish driver rather sadly now drops to the back of the field. He keeps it going. That's the crucial factor in this one. Nikhil Bora's got a good start. He's up in the fourth position behind Bustamante, and already there's a chance through from the Hyderabad Blackbirds number 9, Neil Jani.
Yeah, really good start from the front runners. They've kept their noses clean for Shahan Ali Mohsin. All those nerves that we heard at the start of the grid when he was there sitting in pole, they seem to have just dissipated a little bit, and he's got a little bit of breathing space between himself and John Lancaster. We talked about the run to C4. He's done away with that for now, but give John time. There's 20 minutes plus 1 lap, remember, in this sprint race. That's plenty of time for a charge.
Yeah, he's a tough, solid Yorkshireman. He knows not to go ugly early. John Lancaster will be a wily fox. Nikhil Bora right in behind Bianca Bustamante, the 17-year-old from Manila in the Philippines, who's been racing all year in USF Juniors and the W Series. She is whiling her way around this circuit in third position, nice and tidy. No major problems for her at this moment. And as they work their way through the tricky part of the course, this is where we had the big factor of rain yesterday. There hasn't been much more since then, but it has cooled the track down. It's made the grass much wetter, much more sodden. You've got Amir Syed battling away there with Fabian Volvend. Neil Jani's made a good run forward, and Andinith Reddy has been boxed in behind Garth Chapade. So here we go, up to the start. This is what happened. What happens to Kevin Morocca? He goes wide and he just gets onto the marbles. That's how he ended up off onto the grass. So Kevin Morocca, unfortunately, it's self-induced. I didn't see any contact, so he just got a little bit wide out onto the marbles.
Yeah, it's unforgiving as well. You put a wheel on the grass here in Chennai and you're going to go off. Now, this is the run we've been talking about. The lead up from this section of quick corners all the way down that long straight. It is the longest straight here in Chennai at the MIC. And that is the run that you want. And I think this is the run that the Blackbirds want as well. That is number 10, Anindit Reddy. He's got the run on Parth Gorpade, but not quite close enough to make the move into the left-hander.
Reddy versus Gorpade, and Gorpade is doing the best job he can to hold on to this in the Chennai Turbo Riders number 5. His teammate John Lancaster battling Shahan Ali Mohsin for the win. Who would have thought this? 3 teams that have not won a race so far this season are currently in the top 3. This is a very tough mission for them all. And Anindit Reddy's got his run here on Parth Gorpade down the back straight. Is he going to have his opportunity? Gorpade is going to need to defend, but Reddy's going to commit nice and early into the braking zone. Job done. Textbook.
Nicely done. Smooth from Anindit. A bit too much space, I think, for my liking, given to him by Parth Gorpade as well. You want to get those shoulders out, make sure you're covering your tracks, but Anindit looked much quicker through that entire lap. You can see him already covering a bit more ground. I think he's had a really poor start. Parth Gorpade, Amir Syed going backward over the first couple of laps, but brilliant from Shahan Ali Mohsin and John Lancaster at the front.
And Reddy is now going to try and set off after Mitch Gilbert, who made a good start. He's up to 8th position already, but Shahan Ali Mohsin is getting the work done. The 18-year-old, who is the reigning Formula Ford 1600 national champion here, has done a fantastic job here in India, but now in the Indian Racing League with an international playing field, this is where he really gets to show his cards. And the Speed Demons Delhi team have had a horrific season for bad luck right from the start. If they can pull off a win here, they are going to go ballistic.
Watch out for the charging card of Neil Jani as well. Number 9 in green. He is catching. He is absolutely catching Fabienne. And he's got Amir Syed ahead of her. So that trio of drivers right there, that is the trio to watch over the next few laps.
Well, Neil Jani, I was speaking to him earlier this morning, and I said, this is going to be a bit of a different challenge for you. He said, but that's what I'm here for. I want to be challenged. I want to be tested. Last week, he pretty much had things his own way. Being at the back of the grid, he said, I'm loving the excitement of it. I really want to make my way through. It's not going to be easy to overtake here. There are some very solid and talented drivers here. It doesn't matter that I've won a Le Mans 24 Hours today. What matters is what I do out on the racetrack.
100%. He knows better than most that it's only what matters on the day. Also nice battle for third brewing between Nikhil Bora in the blue number 2 car, and up ahead of him Bianca Bustamante from the Philippines. She's a really young girl who's come out here and been very impressive. For her, a result at the IRL would be so important, Jake. For her to come to a country like India, perform in Asia, and really make a name for herself in single-seater racing, something she would absolutely love.
Yeah, she's been proving herself very well since she came out of Asian karting. She's been a solid competitor. She won major national and regional championships in her days in both Miami and Rotax. And now here she is with an Aprilia engine behind her, and she is doing a fantastic job in the Wolf chassis, doing a great job there in third place, holding off Nikhil Bora. Nikhil Bora is no slouch himself. He's running a very solid race now for the Godspeed Kochi team, looking good for a potential podium, but he's really got to intimidate Bianca into making the mistake. And Nikhil Bora himself has only been racing cars for 1 year. He's been doing F4 in Germany and in Italy. He's really got to be patient here behind Bianca Bustamante, but also he's got to be the hunter. He's got to intimidate Bianca and force her to make the mistake.
Yeah, he's going to pile on the pressure now. You can see already over the last lap, he's a lot closer than he was a lap ago. And there is still plenty of time in this race. Tyre management becomes so critical towards the back end of this race as well. But that is a look at Kevin Miroka. We saw him go off earlier at the start, and he's running his own race. And this is the battle we've been talking about for a long time now. That is Neil Jani fighting and battling to get ahead of Fabian.
Now this is familiar territory for these two. Neil Jani, of course, is a Le Mans 24-hour race winner. Fabian Volvend won in the Ferrari Challenge a couple of seasons ago. So this is a really exciting battle to watch. And right behind them, Mitch Gilbert, the man who knows this part of the world like no other driver here. He's been based out in Kuala Lumpur for quite a long time, has raced all over this part of the world. So he can deal with the heat, he can deal with the conditions, and he's got the versatility in this car to carve his way through. Neil Jani just starting to sense the opportunities now on Fabian Volvend, but if they keep battling for the length of time they've got, then Emir Saeed in front of them in the Go races isn't even going to be challenged.
Absolutely not. I think he's sizing up a move here. He's a smart driver, Neil Jani. There it is already. Oh, that is gutsy. Into the left-hander, and now the run-in to the long back straight.
Well, did that finish? Oh, he's spun around. Fabian Volvend and Neil Jani, they actually collided. Neil Jani and Fabian Volvend have tipped themselves around. I wondered if that was going to be a bit of a potential difficulty. Neil Jani tries to make the move, locked up, and that must have skewed the car slightly into Fabian Volvend's path. Racing incident, but unfortunately, both drivers have come off worse for it.
Yeah, we're not used to seeing a big move into the left-hander at C3, so it's one that I didn't expect either. I would have thought he'd bide his time and take the run in to C4 over the long straight.
Oh, look at that. You see, it's a tricky one to call because Fabian Volvend has come back on the inside there, and it's a tricky one, really tricky one. I would say that's a racing incident myself. I don't think you can put the blame on either driver. Neil Jani's got to go for the move. Fabian Volvend's got to defend.
And I don't think she saw it coming. Neil Jani going for the move at a part of the circuit we don't see too many drivers with a daunting move down the inside. He took the lunge, there was a bit of space for him, and she shut the door. Unfortunate, very, very unfortunate for Fabian Volvend, but out at the front, still peaceful for Shahan Ali Mohsin and John Lancaster.
So Shahan Ali Mohsin leads the way, the 18-year-old up front for the Speed Demons Delhi team. John Lancaster running solidly in second for the Chennai Turbo Riders, and in third place for the Bangalore Speedsters is Bianca Bustamante. If the race ends like this, none of the teams that have won a race this year will even be on the podium, would you believe? Nikhil Bora, fourth position, trying to make that change.
I think for Bianca, what's also very important is that there's no Ollie Webb in this race, and therefore a little extra pressure for her to deliver a good result. And when you take that into consideration, Jake, I think this is a brilliant drive so far from her. She's resisted the pressure coming up against her, but things are going to get a lot heated up when you take a look at the next couple of laps. The next section of corners coming in, Nikhil Bora is on the charge.
Yeah, she ran like a real tiger at the start, got herself into a decent position, and every lap since then, she hasn't overworked the car, she hasn't overpushed herself, she's seeked her limits, but then she's managed to guide the car into a decent, solid position. She's not overcooking. Look, if anything, Nikhil Bora is actually the one lighting up the tyres and the brakes. He's the one that's finding he's under pressure to challenge Bianca Bustamante. And the Godspeed Kochi driver is actually really struggling to stay with her. And once again, 5 different teams in the top 5 positions.
Absolutely, he's got Amir Syed in 5th behind him, and there's a little breathing room behind Nikhil Bora, and that's why he is taking the extra risks as well with Bianca Bustamante in 3rd. But at the moment, as you said, podium positions being covered by all new new teams, and that is so good for the championship as well. A little bit of action from the rear side of that car, a little bit of a slide out. He doesn't mind that. He'll chuck it in. Why not?
That was a proper tank slapper from Nikhil Bora. He's got an Aprilia engine in the back of that car. He was riding it like a bike just then. Goodness me. He's managing to get it all together. But that kind of mistake is going to drop him further back from Bustamante. That's going to put more pressure on him to make those mistakes. And that's where a chance of a podium could slip away.
Bianca Bustamante has got a little bit of a smile under her helmet every time she sees a little bit of a lock-up or the tyres sliding outwards behind her. But Bianca has driven a very, very mature race so far. You don't seem to see anything really fussing her about, even though she was under so much pressure a couple of laps ago. She's got a little bit more room. But out in front, we've still got to talk about Shahan Ali Mohsen a little bit for me, Jake, because for a young man who's got John Lancaster behind him, alongside him at that start, he has driven a very, very solid race to stay out.
Yeah, John Lancaster is Mr. Versatility, but of course Shahan Ali Mohsen has the track experience here, so he knows his way around the circuit, he knows the bumps, he knows the apexes, he knows the braking points, perhaps a little bit more naturally than John Lancaster, who, don't forget, is still trying to drive around the deficiencies of this Chennai Turbo Riders car, which has been giving him problems all weekend long. Look at Neil Jani, full chat, trying to catch up to Anindya Reddy, his teammate. He will be feeling sorry for himself after that little moment. He'll be feeling a little bit angry. Look, he's driving with the red mist, he's got the fastest lap, he wants to get this back, especially after winning last week. It will not sit well with him that he's going to finish outside the top 6. He's going to do everything he can to put that right.
Yeah, fastest lap for Neil Jani, 31.6, and this is what he wants. He wants the full tilt heading across into the next section of laps. Under 10 minutes to go in this race now, and he's chasing down his teammate Anindya Reddy. Mitch Gilbert has driven a superb race as well. Started at the back of the grid, Jake, and he's piled his way through that entire grid. He's sitting in 6th, and that is one of the drives of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, he was very downcast when I spoke to him earlier this morning. I said to him, what can you do from the back? He went, finish. He was so demoralised. He's like, I've just got to try and figure out what can happen. The fact that he's now in P6, that'll put his dander up. He'll go for a fighting move. He'll try his best to close up on Amir Saeed. The fact that Jani and Volvend have been removed in front of him actually gives him a little bit more commitment, a little bit more focus now. He can focus on the objectives, try and close up on the Goa Races car in front, and he can make this happen.
Just over the last lap, you can see so much ground being covered by Neil Jani on his teammate Anindya Reddy. Anindya seems to be slipping into his shadows, and this is where the opportunity starts to come in.
He's waving him through. Look, he's going to play the team game. He knows that Neil Jani's going to be quicker. Go on, mate, go get him. That's what I love about this championship. This is a team's championship. It's not a driver's championship at all. You don't win a driver's title. You're working for the benefit of the team. And Anindya Reddy saw the writing on the wall. He knows that Neil Jani's going to be quicker. Have at it, mate. Go get him.
That's also the kind of guy that Anindya did. He's a really good guy on and off track as well. I think he saw the green car behind him, his teammate from the Hyderabad Blackbirds, and he says, look, I've not got the pace. Go ahead, Neil. I can see you putting in fastest laps. The team pit board would have said it as well. He says, go out, have a bit of fun, chase down Mitch Gilbert.
Here we go. This is what I assumed would be happening. John Lancaster has been biding his time. He's been waiting. He knows perfectly well that you can't win this race in the first 15 minutes. You can win it in the last 5. And John Lancaster has been working steadily to gain that ground back on Shahan Ali Mohsen. The gap is only 1.2 now. He's fractionally quicker in the first and third sectors over the last lap. So this is where John Lancaster can really start to eat into Shahan Ali Mohsen. And this is what we've been watching. I've been watching from John Lancaster for 2 decades now of racing. He's the kind of guy, he intimidates. He doesn't go for silly overtaking moves. He hustles. He sits on the rear bumper of the car behind. He looks left, he looks right. He tries to intimidate the driver, forces them into the mistake, and when it comes, he pounces. He is such a tiger of a racing driver.
He is. He's been tremendous over his career. Shahan Ali Mohsen just starting his career in many ways, but this front two, they've been superb ever since the start of this race. Shahan Ali Mohsen, though, is not giving him an inch. He's not been anywhere but the front, right through. It's been a Leicester flag drive so far, but let's remember the flag is still 6.5 minutes away, plus a lap. John Lancaster can do what he wants, but for me, the young man doing such a good job. The gap was 1.2. I think it's even a bit just under, maybe 1.9 of a second as we come around the line this time around.
It's very, very tight between them as they come through. Shahan Ali Mohsen still doing his best to hold on in front of John Lancaster. Lancaster throwing it at every apex, trying to gain the ground. And it's down to 1.1. He's gaining.
Yeah, just about gaining. I think John Lancaster is sizing up a move towards the back end of this race. We always talk about it, even in the sprint race. Remember, no pit stop here at all, no driver change. It is a straight out fight till the end, and that middle part of the race often is quiet, but it's drivers like John Lancaster biding their time, waiting for an opportunity.
At this point, I want to give a bit of credit to Amir Saeed, the Goa Races driver. He's kind of been under the radar for most of this season so far, but he's there in fifth position. He's watched drivers around it bottle, and he's made no mistakes so far. He's called it very fairly in fifth position. He's not overdriven, he's not made mistakes, he's just kept it on the island. He knows that if he's not going to be the driver that makes mistakes, he can pick up the pieces. Nikhil Bora reeling in Bianca Bustamante once again, going for that third position. Bangalore versus Kochi. But in the background, Amir Saeed is now under pressure from Mitchell Gilbert, but he's held his own smartly.
He has, and Amir Saeed honestly is one of those impressive young Indian drivers. He's been around Europe as well, testing a lot of Formula 4 cars. He's carried a lot of confidence from the National Championship too, and it's really nice to see Amir Saeed, who finished on the podium last time around, bring a nice result in. But as you said, Mitch Gilbert hunting him down. You've got a really nice battle. This battle's been brewing for a long time. Nikhil Bora, Bianca Bustamante, who's held him off for a while. It may not be for much longer, because Nikhil Bora, yet again, tail coming out over the last corner.
That's frustration for Nikhil Bora. I can get this girl, I can go for her. But there is no hesitation from Bianca Bustamante. She's not being intimidated at all. The Philippine superstar really is showing her colours, and in a field like this is where you prove what you can do. It's one thing to come into the W Series up against other female competitors, go wheel to wheel, showcase that you've got the mentality to learn in the international playing field. But when you're in a mixed gender field, you've got that pressure, you've got that mentality. You need to show the women of this world that they can be strong racing drivers. Bustamante hasn't put a wheel wrong so far. She's defending avidly.
I think Nikhil's much quicker through this part of the circuit, but he's just not been getting the run out of the last corner onto the main straight into C1 that gives him that first sector that he needs. He's stitching together a really nice second and third sector, and this is where he's really gaining ground on Bianca Bustamante.
Do you know, this has been a big weekend so far for the female competitors in this category. Yesterday, Lola Lovinfoss managed to pick up a podium under her own merit. She was not one of the drivers to make mistakes, even in the wet conditions when they came very heavy. She held on, bagged herself a podium. Bianca Bustamante under even more pressure than Lola Lovinfoss yesterday. And if she holds on for another 4 minutes or so, if you count the additional lap, then she's going to get herself a very worthy, very justified podium. There's a bit of a chance from Nikhil Bora. Bustamante, she was clever there. She opened the door, made Nikhil Bora think there was a chance. No, you don't. Slammed it firmly shut.
And this is the exit we talked about as well. Much cleaner this time around from Nikhil Bora. He needs that run in the first sector, even on the last lap. First sector slightly quicker from Bianca Bustamante, and then he starts to gain ground. He's brilliant through this next set of corners. C2, 3, 4, leading up to that long straight, but by then he's lost enough ground just down that main straight. Bianca seems to have a bit more power in that unit.
We're going to see Delhi in front of Chennai and Bangalore on the podium if it ends like this. None of those three teams have even won a race so far this season, so it's going to be a fascinating podium if it finishes like this. And for the Speed Demon Delhi, that's not just going to be a lucky pole position, that's going to be a fighting victory that they utterly, utterly deserve if he can hang on.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 20 plus a lap, and out at the front, John Lancaster is catching a little bit, 0.7 the difference between him and Shahan Ali Mohsin, but this is the battle to watch so far. Here are the leaders. Shahan Ali Mohsin still not giving him enough to really warrant a move, but John Lancaster may be biding his time. I just think he might be leaving it a bit too late.
I completely agree that by now Lancaster should really be spitting the exhaust fumes of the car in front, and he's just not getting close enough. I don't know whether it's a problem with the car or whether it's Shahan Ali Mohsin's pure pace, but Lancaster just can't quite get close enough. And that's one of the difficulties the drivers have found in these cars. Following in the dirty air is very tricky to sustain. You can do it for a lap or so, but to do it over multiple laps, that's when you really start to struggle to get the car turned in, to get the grip, get the traction. It's a tough car to follow, and you've really got to know where the car's limit is going to be from one lap to the next.
You just saw Shahan Ali Mohsin as he came over the crest. He's looking in his mirrors. He knows exactly where John Lancaster is, and this is really from a 17-year-old Jake. Shahan Ali Mohsin has driven a tremendous race. He's got so much pressure from the grid. He didn't look the more confident, didn't sound the most confident under the helmet on the grid. But look at that. He's not given him anything to work with. But this is that battle we've been talking about again. even for someone like Nikhil Bora, he's running out of time unless he makes a last-minute lunge here.
Come on, Bianca. Come on, Nikhil. Let's see what you've both got. This is a fabulous battle between the two of them. Bangalore versus Kochi.
Something's got to give.
It's going to be very, very tight, isn't it? This could end up being decided on the last lap. Bustamante's parking the car in the middle of the road, exactly where she needs to place it. Bora is getting frustrated. Nikhil Bora knows in his head, I'm quicker. I just need to get past. But Bustamante doesn't have to show him any kindness whatsoever. And she is placing it. Here goes Bora. He's going to dive. No, you don't. Bianca Bustamante holds up again.
There's one driver, Jake, who's smiling at the moment. That is Amir Syed in 5th. Because this could get ugly if it continues the way it does. Bianca Bustamante, as you said, parking the bus on the inside line, not giving him any room whatsoever, which is brilliant defensive driving from the young Filipino. But out of the front, yet again, Shahan Ali Mohsin. Will he get to that end of the lap with 3 seconds, 2 seconds? Yeah, I think this should be.
Oh, he's got 1 second to go. He's going to have 2 laps. Now, that's a big problem for Bustamante as well. No, it is going to be the final lap. They have declared it. It's going to be the final lap. So, that's interesting.
I wonder if they've just taken that back, Jake, because it seems like there's one more lap.
Yeah, they've taken it back, so it's going to be 2 laps. It's going to be 2 laps to go. Now, that's a big problem for Bustamante, because that's 1 more lap she's got to hold Bora off.
Nikhil Bora will be smiling under that helmet at the moment. Amir Syed, he'll be hoping they just take each other off. But for the sake of this race, I want to see a clean fight all the way to the end from Nikhil Bora and Bianca Bustamante. At the front, though, Shahan Ali Mohsin doesn't seem to care whether it's 1 more lap. He's been in control of this race from the very beginning. And here is an attack from Neil Jani.
Now, that looked like Neil Jani on Amir Syed, actually. So Mitchell Gilbert's come through into the position, and that is, yeah, that's Amir Syed. Neil Jani's trying to get through, so he must have already dealt with Mitchell Gilbert. Now he's going after Amir Syed. Neil Jani trying to put the Hyderabad Blackbirds up into position again. So this is going to be tricky. Oh, yeah. No, Mitchell Gilbert's already got past him. Yeah. So Gilbert's got through into 5th.
We were talking about Amir Syed driving a fairly sedate race all on his own. Unfortunately, that seems to have come undone. He's under pressure massively by Neil Jani. With 1 extra lap, you would think that Neil Jani has the opportunity to get through. Mitch Gilbert has driven one of the best races so far. Started right at the back of the grid, charged his way through into 5th at the moment. He's not going to get 4th, I would think. But this is the battle now over the next lap too.
This is a fairy tale for Speed Demons Delhi. Here we go, 1 lap to go, and he's just got a couple of miles left now to hang on in front of John Lancaster, but then so too does Bianca Bustamante, trying to hang on in front of Nikhil Bora, and they are very close to each other as they come down the main straight. So Lancaster in behind Shahan Ali Mohsin. They've dropped right back now from the leading duo. But this is a fairy tale in the making for Speed Demons Delhi and for the Chennai Turbo Riders. Neither of those teams would have expected a second or a first place finish coming into this weekend. They've been on the back foot all the time. Here's Bustamante right in front of Nikhil Bora. Nikhil has 1 last chance to make this podium come together.
He's got to be really desperate though, and I hope he's a bit smart about this, because Bianca has done so well so far. There is an opportunity. He is close enough, and he is sizing up a move. Bianca certainly looking in her mirrors. She's sticking that car down the inside, not giving him anything to work with whatsoever. It's been such a smart drive towards the second half of this race from Bianca Bustamante.
Good work, Bianca. Keep it up. Nikhil Bora's throwing everything at you. You've got to keep your eye on the mirrors, but as well, you've got to focus on where to brake the car, where to position it through the radius of the apex, where to get back on the power. Don't overdrive. Don't overcook. You need traction. You need grip. You need poise. You need discipline. And Bora's going over the limit. This is going to be very tight between the two of them. But it looks to me as though it's going to be a Speed Demons Delhi victory. What a fairy tale. Here comes Shahan Ali Mohsin. The 18-year-old is going to triumph here at Chennai. Brilliant work. Shahan Ali Mohsin gives Speed Demons Delhi the win. Chennai Turbo Riders second for John Lancaster. What a result for the 18-year-old. It's a victory, and it's Bianca Bustamante in 3rd. She hangs on in front of Nikhil Bora. Wow.
It is a win that he will remember, Shahan Ali Mohsin. He is an Asia Max karting champion, Indian national karting champion, but this is very, very different. A win in Chennai at the Indian Racing League ahead of John Lancaster, experienced campaigner, driven around the world. He did not give him anything through the race, driven a composed, mature drive, and that is a win to remember for Shahan Ali Mohsin.
This is reminiscent of when Sebastian Vettel won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza in 2008 for Toro Rosso, a team nobody expected to take a win. Not only did he win from pole position, he dominated. And Shahan Ali Mozin has done exactly the same thing here at MIC in one of the most competitive championships you could ever have asked him to go for. Everyone in the same machinery, everyone with the same resources, and he's held off against the European Le Mans Series champion. Shahan Ali Mozin, take a bow.
You heard it at the grid as well. He was worried about the gearbox. He was worried about car issues. He had to put all that aside, get a clean run into the first corner, which he did. Keep his nose ahead of John Lancaster. But in the end, a lights to flag win of the highest order from Shahan Ali Mozin. And you've got to say, a drive of special intent from Bianca Bustamante from the Philippines in third, to hold off a charging Nikhil Bora through it.
Yeah, it's one thing to pick off a podium in a wet race with all sorts of attrition and difficulty. Just staying on the road gets you the podium. But to fight for the podium into the first corner to bag third place and hold off so many competitive drivers, including the feisty Nikhil Bora. Fair play to Bianca Bustamante. That's the best I've seen her drive in a car. She deserves that podium. She worked hard for it. And every single driver in the top 5 has earned it. Mitchell Gilbert, driver of the day for me so far, 12th to 5th. That was a feisty drive from a guy so demoralised, and it's a 1 and a 5 for Speed Demons Delhi. They had barely any points coming into this weekend. Now they've got tons.
It's a wonderful moment for this man.
There's his dad. There is Papa Mozin. What an amazing moment.
You know, these are moments when you look at some of these youngsters, and I've had the opportunity of seeing a lot of them grow up, seeing Shahan's dad commit to his career right through, and you've got Rahul Rangasamy there, one of the national champions in the mix. But there you go, that is the teammate hug that you want. That's why this series is so special.
Akash Gowda got the pole position yesterday. Shahan Ali Mozin says to his teammate, I didn't let you down. It was tough, it was tense, but this is ours. We done it.
For the Speed Demons Delhi, that is a really important result as well. They were last coming into
Look at Bianca.
Oh, I love it. You can see her smiling, beaming under the helmet.
That was not a lucky podium. That was not by accident. She fought for that. She dug deep and she delivered. She has had that mentality all the way through karting. When she's been up against the guys, fighting her corner. She's been in the W Series for a year. Now she's done it.
Let's take you downstairs. Somil Arora has a couple of the drivers with him. They are elated at this point.
Folks, right now we've got Shahan Ali Mozin right here with us. Shahan, Mubarak sir. Well done, well done. You always knew that you've got this win in the bag, right? Right from the start of the series, you knew you were capable of more. How does it finally feel like now that the duck has been broken for Speed Demons Delhi?
You see, since the start we knew we had the pace for the win, but the things weren't going right for us. Yesterday, Akash put it on pole in the qualifying. We had not a good warm-up. We had some problems. Even in the race, I was struggling with gearbox issues. The gears weren't going down, so I was... But a very good race driven by John as well, because he kept the pressure on me. He was closing up and the gap was maintained. But it feels very good, and thank you to Speed Demons for preparing the car in such a short time between the warm-up and the race and fixing it. I feel very happy to win.
And now, folks, we've got to go straight to Xerxes. But Shahan, once again, congratulations, man. What a drive.
Hi. So I'm here with John. He killed it. You're number 2 on the podium. How does it feel?
That's great, to do it. Hometown Chennai, the Chennai Turbo Riders. It's been an interesting weekend, but to reward the team with a good second place, pretty solid. We've had a few issues to resolve over the day, but it's been good. Nice to get it together, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll go one better this afternoon.
You were worried a little bit about the car when you started. There has been some kind of issues that have been going on with the car. How did it hold up, and how did you start with that mindset on the track?
It held up great. I mean, after the first couple of corners, I did just keep a little gap just to keep it on the water temperature. We had a little temperature issue, so I gave it a couple laps just to see roughly if it was going to be out of control, but all seemed fine. So after that, just try to stay consistent. Caught him a little bit, but for me, it's on the edge. He seems to have a little bit more pace at the minute, but we'll try and work that out for this afternoon.
And you were right on Shahan's tail all through the race. Were you trying to make a move, or were you like, I'm just going to be right there, I'm happy with the number 2?
It's difficult to make a move, but I was trying to put him under some pressure. He started to make a couple of mistakes, but not a big enough one to try and capitalise. So we'll push a bit harder this afternoon, try and force that mistake, because, it's same row for this afternoon's race. He's first, we're second, so we get to do it all again.
Okay, best of luck for the next race, and congratulations once again.
A great battle between those two. Speed Demons Delhi versus Chennai Turbo Riders. Two teams that have not topped the podium and they fought for the victory. That's a fairy tale right here.
It is, and even for the Chennai side, I know the Turbo Riders came into this weekend really hoping for a good result, to do it in front of their home fans. The team owners, I was catching up with them a couple of days ago, and they said, we've got so many people turning up to watch our side, and we hope we get a good result. They certainly got the delivery they wanted. And Mitch Gilbert, you've got to give him a word as well.
Oh, absolutely. From last to fifth, that was an amazing drive from Mitch Gilbert. That was the race where Speed Demons Delhi cleaned up. They really did a fantastic job.
Jake, we just saw a flash of Sandeep Kumar, and he's the man who put the car on the front row of the grid for John Lancaster. So big word to Sandeep Kumar as well. He's been driving around this circuit for a long time, a number of years across categories, and as they can say, a few things that could have perhaps gone his way, but he just did not have the opportunity from Shahan Ali Mohsin.
That's the thing about these races. Both drivers are going to end up on the podium because the teammate put them there in the first place in qualifying. The second one has to do the job in the race from wherever they put them. So it is a real team effort between Sandeep Kumar and John Lancaster, and they finally get the result they deserve.
They certainly deserved it. Plenty of fans in the house as well. We'll take a short breather here on the Star Network. On the other side, we've got the podium celebrations, plenty of champagne coming your way. Welcome back to the Indian Racing League right here at the Madras International Circuit. It's been a super Sunday already. It's going to get even better with the feature race around the corner. But just some initial thoughts on that last race, Gaurav. Brilliant drive from young Shahan Ali Mohsin, 18 years old, soaked up all the pressure from the experienced John Lancaster.
Place 1, 2, 3, 4. Brilliant drive by all of them. As in, hats off to them. They kept their composure, they kept it clean, they kept it neat. To finish first, you always have to first finish, is something your dad told me when I started racing. And 4 of them did just that.
Yeah, they did a great job. Unfortunate for Bianca Bustamante, who actually picked up a penalty as a result of a false start, and so she slips down the order. But let's just bring you some highlights from that last race. It is worth taking another look at, because the start was clean from Shahan Ali Mohsin. That's half the job done when you've got someone like John Lancaster alongside you on that front row. But also going forward through that race, you've got to talk about the charging Mitch Gilbert. Started dead last, Gaurav, ended up finishing 4th. And it was a great battle right the way through between Nikhil Bora and Bianca Bustamante.
No, Mitch Gilbert, brilliant drive from him. Just imagine if that incident between Neil Jani and Fabian didn't happen. They would have been in that entire mix-up to place 3, 4 and 5.
Yeah, exactly. Neil Jani was charging through the pack. Mitch Gilbert was there as well. It was a good drive for Chennai too, because they needed the points. They're here at home, and John Lancaster did a tremendous job to just keep the car on the rails. But this was a battle we talked about so much, about that chasing down of Bianca Bustamante. He just didn't have enough to get past her on track.
Hardcore respect for this lady driver from Philippines, Bianca Bustamante. Hats off. As in, she has a lot in store for her. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of her in World of Motorsport.
Yeah, just saw her after the race, and the poor thing, she was sobbing her eyes out. And you can understand it. She did everything right on track, but wonderful moments for Shahan Ali Mohsin, sharing the moment with his dad, with Ragul Rangasamy there. These are moments you never forget as a young driver.
This is brilliant for an Indian driver, as in coming up, heading shoulder to shoulder with all the international stars that we have. And we have Shahan Ali Mohsin over here, who's ended up on top, as in with all his grit and drive.
Let's just bring you the summary of those results. Shahan Ali Mohsin for the Speed Demons Delhi, their first win in the IRL through Shahan Ali Mohsin. John Lancaster for Chennai at home here at the Madras International Circuit on the podium, and so too Nikhil Bora, courtesy a penalty for that Filipina driver Bianca Bustamante. Unfortunately for her, she slides down to 8th spot. Mitch Gilbert with a charge from the back from all the way in 12th to 4th. Amir Syed, a good drive from him. He actually soaked up the pressure late from Neil Jani, and even though Amir Syed seemed to be driving his own race, it was really nice to see him keep his composure, hold it together with Neil Jani charging.
Absolutely. No, but my driver for the day was Bianca Bustamante. She was another level. But Neil Jani driving and charging behind Fabian, that was a good battle as well. As a driver, I would say, if you want to make a move, you have to make it once a lap. He did it twice in that lap, and that ended bad.
And it's strange to also see the move come where it did. He found a gap, saw a gap. She shut that door, unfortunately, on Neil Jani.
That's racing.
That is racing, exactly. Racing incident on track 2. Let's just bring you the celebrations from the podium. This is where things get lively. This is where the drivers enjoy their moments, because they are hard to come by in this sport. You have often 9 bad days for that one brilliant day where you celebrate. And you've got both drivers on the podium, as we've talked about previously as well. One of the drivers puts the car in that position. Sandeep Kumar actually qualified the car in second, and that's why he's up there with John Lancaster. But brilliant to see Shahan Ali Mohsin take the win. Akash Gowda putting the car on pole, and a lights to flag victory for Shahan Ali Mohsin, the 18-year-old. Caught up with him just after the race as well, Gaurav, and he was saying he had gearbox problems shifting from first to second. Well, it didn't seem to trouble him too much.
Yeah, no, at the start, when Saumil was there with him at the start, he didn't seem as confident as what John was. But then the race was a different story. He was brilliant all through.
Also, really good result for Nikhil Bora, and obviously Alistair Young, because for that side, important points for them. Overall, though, a tremendous couple of races already in Chennai, setting up for this feature.
Yeah, brilliant. As in, we had the rain playing havoc yesterday. We had a brilliant race today. let's see what is up for this feature race with the driver change in between.
You know, just talking about some of those key moments from that race, Gaurav, the battle for me between Bianca Bustamante and Nikhil Bora, it'll give both those drivers a lot of confidence. Nikhil obviously knew he could go toe-to-toe with her, but he couldn't find a way through. Found himself on the podium, though. But for Bianca Bustamante, even though on the result sheet it doesn't show, she'll carry a lot from it.
So unfortunate with this entire rolling start procedure. There was a little unfortunate incident that she was exactly about 5-6 inches in front of him at the start. So that ended up with a 20-second penalty. I mean, that's what the stewards are there for, and that's why we have rules. So, but the rest of the race between the two of them, they were so composed, they were so confident, and they were so clean. It's unfortunate that Nikhil couldn't get in front of her, but she was total grit. Total grit.
You know, speaking of composed, speaking of being calm, Shahan Ali Mohsin, 18 years old, Gaurav. We all think back to when we were 18 and being on track here. This young man really showed us the way because he just didn't give him a sniff. John Lancaster was waiting for a mistake. It just didn't come.
No, it didn't come. It didn't come at all. As in, Shahan was totally composed again. And the entire lines, I mean, there was no mistake by the both of them. And definitely he was a little faster than John. The car was definitely very well settled. The way it was running through the corners, I mean, it was very composed, the car as well. So the entire package, I'm sure the team did a brilliant job to get Delhi on top.
Yeah, Delhi were running last coming into this weekend, but the young man, 18 years old, Shahan Ali Mohsin, does a tremendous job, gets them the win. Let's get to know him a little better.
Hi, I'm Shahan. I'm from Agra. I'm 18 years old. I've been racing for 10 years now. I'm a 4-time Indian national karting champion. I won the Asian Karting Championship in 2016. I was the first one to do so. I won the Indian National Car Racing Championship 2021, and I'm currently racing in the Indian Racing League for Speed Demons Delhi. I started racing when I was 8. I started in karting. I was very fast in karting. I learned very quickly. I won the Indian National Karting Championship in 2015, 16, and 18 and 19 I won in the micro category, junior category and the senior category. And in 2016 I won the Asian Karting Championship. I was the first Indian to do so. I think that was the best moment in my life. It has been a highlight of the career because it was a very nice feeling to have the tricolor on top and the Indian national anthem. Then I shifted to Formula Cars in 2019. I won the Indian National Car Racing Championship 2021, and then I am competing right now in MIS Formula 2000 also. And with that I am competing for Speed Demons Delhi Indian Racing League.
A multiple karting champion. There's a lot of confidence that comes with these youngsters today. When they hit the big leagues, they are ready to go. But also the support from the family is so important. Seeing his dad there, who's been around his entire career.
His dad has been a very, very, very strong figure and a good foundation for what he's done. As in, like for all of us, our dads have always been there. But it's an important thing in this sport to have a good family support. I mean, family is always very important in any of your successes.
Yeah, and I think especially in motorsport, it's a challenging sport without the support of those around you. But another man who's been around a long time, delivering a result for Chennai here at home, John Lancaster, Gaurav, experienced campaigner, and he wanted a result. You've seen the body language of John Lancaster. He's been really quick. He's been getting rapid starts. This was a good result for them.
See, a very important thing is he kept his composure again. As in, he didn't try anything silly. He didn't try anything stupid. He didn't really go for the gap that wasn't there. And he realized that valuable points is what it is that is required for the team.
Yeah, valuable points. He did deliver those, but he's been around a while. He's driven around the world. Let's get to know John Lancaster better and what he's loving about India.
Whistle or do? Hi, John Lancaster, racing for the Chennai Turbo Riders here in the Indian Racing League. Fans, come on down. You're getting for a lot of action. It's going to be a lot of close racing. You've got some great drivers, some great cars and some awesome circuits, so we need a good atmosphere to put on a good show. I've been pretty lucky. I've been racing all around the world. I've raced in Chennai, I've raced in India about 10 years ago. Been lucky enough to race and win races in Formula 2, Formula 3. I've been to Le Mans 24 hours, won a European Championship. Lucky to race around the world, call this my job, and really happy to be here in India and help build this incredible brand that's going to be the Indian Racing League. It's not done anywhere else in the world, so it's going to make some real good, exciting racing. You know, to have a combination of drivers all working together for the team. It's good. It's an extra angle that not many people have ever done before. So yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be a world-leading championship in the future.
been in India before. He's been in Chennai before. And I've got to say, John, your whistle is actually better than my whistle, Porter. So well done on that. But look, when you speak of John Lancaster, Gaurav, he's a guy who's very easy to get on with. For his teammates, for guys like Sandeep Kumar, for Nicole, for even the likes of Parth Ghorpade, that experience, that wealth of experience, having driven at Le Mans, Formula 2, Formula 3, it goes a long way for these guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not just getting in the car and getting your times. As in, it's a mix of everything. It's the confluence of your experience with the talent, with the car that you actually have. So the pointers that he gives in to the drivers brings in a lot of weightage.
Yeah, it does. And I think John Lancaster will be hoping to go one further because he starts the feature race on the front row as well. We'll take a short breather here on the Star Network. On the other side, it is time for the big feature race before we close things up on this Super Sunday at the IRL. Welcome back to the Indian Racing League right here at the Madras International Circuit. Plenty to talk about because we've got the big feature race coming up. 40 minutes plus one lap, Gaurav. Very, very different, hard work for the cars and for the drivers. And based on what we saw last weekend in the feature race, we had drama, we had everything going on. This could be a spicy one.
No, it's a very important race for the entire team. As in, it's very important in terms of the points that you're going to collect. And so you need to make sure that you don't disappoint the driver too who's driving next. Make sure you get your start clean. Make sure you get through the first lap properly. Position yourself. Try and understand where you want to make those moves. Don't make anything silly. And then you have your points in the bag.
Points in the bag are going to be crucial because it's double the points for the feature race. It's 50 points up for grabs. Let's just give you a little brief on the rules that go into the feature race. Slightly different in format to many things you've seen before. It's 35 minutes plus 1 lap. In fact, that 1 lap will begin when the clock hits 0. We saw in that last sprint race, it didn't go to 0. It was 2 seconds to go and they had 1 extra lap. You've got a driver change in between, and that's why we're saying that the Indian Racing League is a team sport. There's a pit-in window that opens on the 12th minute. The pit-in window will close on the 22nd minute. And remember, the cars have to be stationary for 3 minutes in that driver swap. It then just brings about a bit of consistency as well. The driver swap, the pit, the swapping in between a race, and the mentality, therefore, for the drivers, Gaurav, slightly different when it comes to the IRL.
Very exciting, very exciting. I mean, it's not something that you just normally see even in your F1s, as in the pit stops are totally different. Over here, you're pitting in, you have a 3-minute stationary time so that the second driver actually gets trapped in and all the safety is looked into, as in you can't have a driver's belts being loose, helmet being loose. So it's very important to keep that in mind, that they have to be stationary for 3 minutes in between. But they do have the 10-minute window from the 12th to the 22nd window. So they're going to be looking at keeping their better of the two drivers out longer.
Yeah, it's going to be a proper challenge because over 35 minutes, we can see a lot of carnage happening. We can also see a lot of great racing happening, which is what we've seen from the two sprints. How big a moment is this for a lot of these youngsters driving a feature race on a Sunday in front of some great crowds on TV for the first time for a lot of them?
No, it's very important. As in, you don't want to really make a fool of yourself over here and put the car in the wrong place. So we want clean racing. We want composed racing where everybody is on track, not trying to do anything silly and over the top over here. So as long as you're keeping your head on your shoulders, keeping the car on the track, 50 points is a lot of points. Double points is a lot. As in heading into Hyderabad next weekend, they really want these points.
50 points is a lot. The feature race is going to be exciting to watch. What do the drivers think about this new system, this new format? Let's find out. There with Jake.
One of the unique challenges of the Indian Racing League season is the feature race format with its mandatory driver change. It's a different challenge for some of the competitors, and many of them are doing it for the first time. What does it take when you're on the limit, trying to get it right?
Yeah, I think it's certainly a different skill. I think these guys are all so close and very quick between each other. There's only tenths between them, but you can lose seconds in and out of the pit lane and in a change.
We started well. I like the concept of the feature race with the driver change. Didn't go our way, seeing as we kind of crashed at turn 2, going for the lead, but you know, racing drivers, I saw the gap, we had to go for it.
Yeah, really different format to what we're used to. So with the pit stop, the in-lap and out-lap's extremely crucial, because in the pits it's not much of a problem because you have a minimum pit stop time of 3 minutes. So getting out and in the car, back in the car in 3 minutes is pretty okay.
Yeah, so it's lots of fun. I've done one in the previous years in a GT4, and it's lots of fun. I enjoy having that kind of adrenaline rush by getting in the car or out of the car super quick. Yeah, it's fun coming in the pits so quickly and getting that adrenaline.
Although we do have a 3-minute mandatory stop to get the driver change done, which should be plenty of time, it's the way that we attack the pit lane entry and the pit lane exit and the traffic and the strategy in between that, should there be a safety car as well, where you can really gain positions.
Some drivers have experienced it. For a lot of them, it's completely new. But the one thing that seems to be common is that everyone seems to be loving it, Gaurav. And in some sense, it brings out the team camaraderie as well.
Absolutely. As in, you have to like each other over here. You can't go fist to fist with your partner over here. But I've seen this entire the vibe between the teams is brilliant, as in they're really happy with each other. Otherwise, in racing, normally drivers really don't see eye to eye. I mean, even in F1, you'll see Max doesn't look at Lewis at all because it's temperamental. But over here, you need to have that little hug. You need to be a little more friendly because at the end of the day, it's the team that's playing.
And in most forms of racing, as you know as well, you're always pipped against your teammate. It's so different for these guys who actually have to work with their teammate, get the best out of the car. You're qualifying for your teammate as well.
Yep.
So you better get along.
Absolutely. Very important. Very, very, very important to have that relationship between each other. When things are going good, it's all fine. But to be able to understand that each other can make mistakes and to accept that mistake, that's also a big learning for all of them over here.
Yeah, the pit lane is now open. You're going to see the cars charge out onto the grid. We've got plenty of guests and VIPs on the grid as well to come in and watch this race. But we're also going to remind you of our grid positions as we take a look over our shoulders. We're just over the grid as well here. Big moments for a lot of these drivers, Gaurav. What's going through a driver's mind as you do this outlap, as you pull up on the grid?
I'm very curious to know what's going on in Bianca's mind with having a brilliant race and then because of a 5-inch starting penalty being pushed to 7 or 8, as in she really needs to hold it back. So if she's able to perform this race, that really shows true character.
Yeah, it will, and we'll see that test of character for Bianca Bustamante. But let's just take a look at the grid for this feature race. This is where we said double the points are on offer. It is Shahan Ali Mohsin and Akash Gowda on pole position. And that is for the Speed Demons Delhi. They'll be wanting a good result given the win earlier for Shahan. John Lancaster and Sandeep Kumar, they've done a good job as well to slot themselves into second. Rishon and Bianca Bustamante in third for the Bangalore Speedsters. Goa Aces then in fourth with Amir Syed and Sohail Shah. In fifth, the Godspeed Kochi side. So all top 5 cars and drivers, completely different teams. So really good to see that with Alistair and Nikhil in fifth. In sixth, on that third row, Anshul and Oliver Webb. We haven't seen too much of Ollie Webb so far this weekend at all. Akhil and Neil Jani for the Blackbirds Hyderabad side in seventh. Parth Godpade and Nicole Havada for Chennai in eighth. They've got one car in second, one in eighth. Fabian and Ruhan Alva in ninth on that fifth row alongside Kevin and Gabriela Yilkova for the Goa Aces. And on that last row of the grid, you've got Anindit Reddy and Lola for the Blackbirds Hyderabad with Celia Martin and Mitchell Gilbert for Speed Demons Delhi bringing up the rear. We've seen a charging Mitch Gilbert already from 12th. Celia Martin from that last row will need some of the same.
No, we're in for a lot of action over here this race, tell you, Suhail. The top 5 are different teams, and how Hyderabad flew off last week, and this week they're in the second half. So it's going to help even in the points table and in the entire race altogether.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race as we've talked about for so long now. The feature race is where the pressure piles on. Double the points, but while there's all this pressure on track, the drivers have found a bit of time to enjoy India. And we'll go there in just a bit, Gaurav, because it's worth taking a look at the way they've enjoyed the country. But that's part of this entire package of the IRL, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Coming to a new culture and really getting a feel of it.
Absolutely. It's not just racing over here. We're trying to showcase what India is all about. And somehow everybody loves India.
Why wouldn't you? And when you think of the country and how much these guys have traveled across the country, loving each bit of it, trying some of the food, whistling about their ways on our Chennai streets, you'll enjoy this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my first time in India, first time racing here. I'm very excited. This call came very last minute, but yeah, I love challenges. I love new cars, new tracks, so I'm very excited for the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Indian food, but so far I had it just in Europe, and of course it's completely different. So yeah, want to know the cities we will be visiting and to get to know more in general the Indian culture.
Actually, India's great. All the people are super friendly, and I grew up in Asia, so this is very similar for me in a way. It's like coming home.
The culture is kind of nice. People are really nice here, and it's first time I'm coming to Asia, and especially in India. So it's very nice to see other things or other culture. I mean, it's important.
What I want to try here in India is definitely as many different foods as possible. I'm looking forward to trying as much as I can. I mean, the highlights: paneer, pani puri. I mean, obviously all of the different vegetable curries.
Yeah, thanks to my Indian roots or my Indian dad, obviously I was several times already in India. I always love coming here, and I especially love the food. Coming back here and enjoying a different kind of a world than what we are used to, it's always a mind-opening experience.
Few of them have been here before, many haven't, and they are enjoying their time here, and why not? These are live scenes just beside the grid, and they're having a great time with the fans as well.
Yeah, that's Alistair Young throwing some caps and t-shirts into the crowd.
His dad has done that a lot in Malaysia and around the world, and that's a nice opportunity. The crowds have come in, Gaurav, to get a glimpse of these cars, very, very special looking cars as well. For these drivers, these are moments as well that they'll savor. It's not just about all the on-track racing, but all of this flavor too.
Normally you see this happening when they're like champions and they're big names. Over here they're 17, 18-year-old kids who are throwing some nice mementos to the crowd.
And for the crowd that's poured in here, they've been waiting a long time. They watched that first sprint race, enthralled by it, getting
that t-shirt to them. Yeah, what excitement.
Back.
Absolutely. Good going away gift.
It is a lovely atmosphere here at the Madras International Circuit. And Gaurav, we've talked about the history of racing here in Madras as well, from the 90s, the incredible weekends, the festivals of racing. It's nice to see the Indian Racing League kick off and turn up at a circuit that has so much history about it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a brilliant start for year one, and year two, I'm sure, is going to be a lot bigger, a lot better, a lot more fun, and a lot more talent, and going to be a lot of racing, I'm sure, coming over here.
There is going to be plenty of racing, but for now, we're going to slip into a short breather on the other side. It is a 35-minute feature race coming your way, the big race of the weekend. It's been a superb Sunday, and it will continue right here at the IRL.
Throw back to comms. Remove your helmet. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Indian Racing League, and it's time for the main event. Right now, we've got the feature race going on, and can you feel the energy on the grid? There are so many people here, so many celebrities, but the one big celebrity in the racing sense that we've got to talk to is our pole sitter, Shan Ali Mohsin. Shan, all these fans are cheering for you, man. You got to win in the first round. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very good. I hope the car is fixed. The mechanics on the team have been working very hard. It's a feature race, so Akash will also drive, so I'm just hoping the car works fine. Hopefully, let's get one more win. It will be a good end to the weekend.
And we know that you can really fight everyone off and get the pace in. Any one competitor that worries you the most or kind of gets on your mind the most?
No, I think I just want to look ahead. I'm not thinking about anyone who's behind me, but I think John can attack me in the first few laps, but if I pull a gap, then I think I'll be fine. Yeah.
So what happens once you're out of the car? It's not in your control. Akash Gada will be driving. What do you feel like in that moment? Because you've done all that you can. Is there any worry, any anxiety?
The first few minutes would be an adrenaline rush, so I'll be just, okay, I'll relax. Then afterwards, it's a bit of a worry, but I trust Akash. He's very experienced. He's experienced enough. I know he'll get the car home.
Hopefully, man. All the very best, Shan. Have a good one. Our pole sitter, Shan Ali Mohsin for Speed Demons Delhi. He got the win in the second sprint race that we had earlier this morning that you saw, of course, on Star Sports 2. But we'll find more people because there are lots of famous folks around here. I can potentially bump into Mr. Varun. He's in the middle of an interview right now, so I don't think we can get to him right now. But I think we can get to Mr. Chidambaram. He's done lots of famous movies. Sir, have you got a minute?
Yes, sir.
Finally, Mr. Chidambaram, great to speak to you. Great to see you at the Indian Racing League. How are you doing? What does this energy feel like for you?
It feels new, it feels different. This is the first time I'm showing up at a racetrack and watching a bunch of professionals go at it. I'm excited and it seems like a lot of fun.
So what brings you to the racing? Do you have a connection with speed, with thrill, with automotives previously?
Yes, I love speed. I ride a bike, I drive a car, and speed's, the need. And I'm here because of one of the organizers really having requested me to come here and experience this as I'm new to this. They just wanted me to really get to know about this whole thing and sort of see what I feel, and I'm feeling great. I'm happy to be here.
And I love the color choice, very neutral. You're not supporting any one team, but surely there's got to be one in mind, right? Which one, if you had to pick?
It's our home team, man. It's the home team always. It's our team, yes.
Team Chennai then. Great to meet you at last. You're looking amazing today. Have a good time at the races. It's amazing, folks. We've got so many fun people and so much of action energy over here. Let's actually see if John Lancaster's around, because he was out of his car for a second. We know we can have a word with him, but he's in the middle of a small photo shoot. Mr. Varun, there you are. How are you? So, great to see you at the Indian Racing League as well. What brings you here to the circuit?
So yeah, I loved racing. So when I heard it's happening somewhere in Chennai, I'll be the first one to be here. So I love it.
What does the energy feel like? All the cars around here, they make a great amount of noise, right? So how does that feel like for you personally?
Normally be in the pit and be watching it. So this is something like you being with the racers and all that. You seeing what's their attitude and all that makes me go crazy. So yeah, and this John, I just spoke to him, and he's such a cool, it was cool, composed, and how Dhoni used to be in cricket, and
Good point.
so yeah, so I loved it totally.
Hopefully it goes well. I hope you have a really, really good time. But I have to put you on the spot. Any one predictions? Is it going to be John according to you? Because he's starting second. It's very close to the win.
Yeah, I think because being in Chennai Turbo Riders, so obviously I'll be supporting for John. So yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing to have a word with you, sir. Have a great time. Enjoy the races right here. Wow, now let's see if we can get to John at last. John, P2 once again, familiar spot for you. Firstly, congrats on the podium in the last one. How does it feel? Is the car sorted out?
Yeah, I think we made some progress. Yeah, I mean, time will tell now, but yeah, we had to just change the brakes up a little bit, things like that. So hopefully all refreshed. It's a clean start, another race. Let's see if we can get that one next place.
And in the last one, unfortunately, you couldn't quite get to Shahan. So what's changed in the plan? What's different for you for this one?
We obviously think a little bit longer strategy this time. We've got the pit stop. It's a longer race. The last race I didn't stress too much about the tyre situation. So I'm hoping that's going to bring the advantage to us. He was sliding around quite a lot. So with a bit of luck, yeah, their tyres might go off before ours, and we'll see. We've got a good driver pairing. Stanley should go strong in the second half, and let's see. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
The crowd's all behind you, John. Have a good time. All the very best. That, folks, is John Lancaster for the home team, Chennai Turbo Riders. It's going to be amazing to watch this battle, and that should come up rather soon. Now, back to the comms.
Thank you very much indeed, Sunil. It's been a fantastic build-up, but now the wait is almost over. I'm Jake Sanson, beside me Sahil Chandok. We are getting ready for the feature race, and it's Speed Demons Delhi and Chennai Turbo Riders on the front row of the grid, with Bianca Bustamante and Rishan Rajiv chasing them down in the Bangalore Speedsters car, leading Blackbird's Hyderabad car down in P7. What a difference a week makes, Sahil.
What a difference, and what a good difference that is as well, because we want to see a bit of a mix-up in the feature race, and we certainly are getting that. You're going to have a fight from 7th from Neil Jani. You've got his teammate Anindit alongside Lola down in 11th. Mitch Gilbert, we saw a charge from down at the back of the grid in the previous sprint race as well, and Celia Martin will start in 12th before handing the car over to Mitch Gilbert. But when you look at that feature race, the top 5 teams, all different sides on that starting grid, and that to me, Jake, is a great sign for the league as well. We're seeing it mixed up, and that is fantastic.
Well, that's what you want. You've got 6 teams, and you want every single one of those teams to have a crack at the victory. And when you consider that all 6 of those teams are represented in the top 7 on the grid, that doesn't get much more competitive. There's Alistair Young chatting away to Lola Lovinfoss, 2 of the youngsters that have really made a big impression. Godspeed Kochi now have a podium in every single race this season, and Lola Lovinfoss, of course, picked up a podium yesterday.
You think they know they're on camera?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But I love the sportsmanship and the camaraderie between these two. Alistair Young from a completely different side of the world to Lola Lovinfoss. They hadn't met before last week, and these two have already become very firm friends, very good respect between the racers, and it's good to see that these relationships have already started blossoming.
And there's a nice look at Amir Saeed. And you're right, Jake. I think part of the charm of the Indian Racing League is everyone getting together from different parts of the globe. Let's just take a nice look at this circuit. It's a circuit I grew up on, I've known for a long time. That's a nice look through C1 before you head into that back section. I love this flow of corners, C4, C5, leading to that long right-hander. It's a really, really nice section of corners before you get to this part. Another nice section, turns 9 and 10. Then you get to this right-hander over the crest before you get to the last corner. The right-hander now leading on to the main straight where you need a nice drive out. 3.7 kilometers right here in Irugatakote. We go clockwise. It's a circuit steeped in history. We've seen Formula 3 cars here. We've seen plenty of racing action in India. And it's so nice to have the IRL turn up right here at the MIC.
It's a bit of an underrated circuit as well, because I managed to get a look around the circuit with Ahmad Ibrahim. He gladly took me round in his road car. Didn't give you quite the feeling, but being an ex-racing driver, he did want to try and push the limit a little bit, as much as his tyre build will allow him to, of course. But it is a great circuit, 11 metres wide everywhere except the main straight, which is 12. It's a real racing driver circuit. It punishes mistakes and it really rewards commitment.
It absolutely does. I think over the years, you speak to any drivers and riders that come to Chennai, that come to this circuit in Madras, they love it. And a lot of the reasons they love it is because it is a technical circuit. It separates the men from the boys or the women from the girls. It is such a good circuit for the drivers. It really does extract the most out of their potential as well.
Drivers are still throwing T-shirts and caps into the crowd. I love the spirit of the passion for the fan base here. The fans who are coming here for the first time to see a major national championship on an international scale. And you've also got this real thirst for the sport. People are coming in, the drivers are embracing it. They love the spirit of community that's already instantaneous.
Let's try and catch up with a couple more drivers. Sawmill's downstairs. Who've you got?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the grid. But I luckily have got Bianca Bustamante with me. Bianca, in the last race, you finished on the track in P3. Of course, a penalty unfortunately came in, but your driving was fantastic. Can you replicate it? How does it feel like in the car right now? What's different from that race?
I wanted to do so well. I put in so much work last night, the previous night, I gained 7/10 in just few laps, and I improved so well from the last weekend, and right now really I'm just so pumped up. That jump start penalty was just it was so uncalled for because it was barely a millimeter, but racing is like that. It gives you the best and high and lows moments in your life. I learned so much from it. I'm pushing so well. I got a really fast teammate, Rashawn, here with me, so I'm really feeling confident. But yeah, I just want to say sorry. We gave it our best. I defended. I drove so well. So yeah, just feeling hopeful for this last race here at Chennai.
And hopefully it really, really goes very well, Bianca. But the one thing that all of our viewers have been very curious about is the fact that you're actually only 17. How are you so quick, in such a young age? And also, if I'm not wrong, it's your first year in car racing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my rookie season. This is about my 9th ever race, 10th, I think. We went double digits just today. So, yeah, I guess it's more of just having really the passion. I came off from a very middle-class family, and 2 years ago, I wasn't even racing. I was retired for 2 years, and it's my first year back racing again. So I think that just fueled and inspired me so much that I don't ever want to be away from it anymore. So I'm just going to give it my best every chance I got.
All the best, Bianca. You do you. All the very best. Now, folks, it's going to be amazing to watch what Bianca can do right here from P3. But we shall go back to the comms because they've got more updates on the racing action. Let's go there.
Great to hear from Bianca Bustamante, putting both Philippines and female talent on the world map. Now, here's the format for the feature race. 35 minutes in duration, plus the additional lap. There is a driver change, which is mandatory in between. The pit window opens at the start of the 12th minute, and it closes at the 22nd minute. So they've only got 10 minutes to make that change. They can do it any time during those 10 minutes, and the minimum duration of the pit stop is 3 minutes, and that's from pit entry to pit exit. And they've got that time standardized at 3 minutes, because not only do the drivers have to change, but the seat has to change as well, because they've been specially molded to suit the drivers in these very unique racing cars, and you need that time to make sure that the safety of the pit exit is adhered to.
And it's really important, actually, therefore, in the driver pairings. You talk to guys like Sandeep Kumar and John Lancaster, and, you know, they were saying it's a good thing we're similar in height, because the pedal positions as well need to be adjusted, and you can't do that in the middle of a race. You can only adjust and change the seat, and each one's got a foam seat that they have created, and that's for a lot of you sitting at home to understand it. While the fans have turned out in large numbers, the drivers have got such intricacies coming into each weekend, but they've loved it here, Jake. They've absolutely loved it.
The fans here in Chennai really have been treated to a real international flavour of motorsport talent. It's not just the stars from India that have come here. They've come from all four corners of the globe, and they are putting on a great show. From the Americas they have come, from Australasia, from all across Europe. It's great to see the talents getting here on a... Do you know, I've never seen Lola Lovenfoss put in more miles jogging around the main straight. She is absolutely loving the atmosphere here.
You know, we were just saying earlier, Gaurav and I, that quite often for these young guys, they would look at the fanfare around this and think, this only happens to the biggest names in the world. But for a lot of these guys who are racing across in India for the first time, fans throwing themselves at them as well, it's a really cool feeling. It can be daunting at times as well. It can phase you, but they are lapping it up. They are loving every minute of it.
Yeah, they are currently being treated like Bollywood superstars here in Chennai, and they absolutely deserve to be. Wonderful to see.
Who knows? Maybe one of them will sign a movie by the end.
Well, you
of
never
this
know.
as well.
They did make I was going to say fabulous movie. Maybe you might disagree with me. They did make a motor racing movie in Bollywood a few years ago with Saif Ali Khan, the lovely Tara Rampam. Yes, I have watched it. I thought it wasn't too bad.
We're gonna teach you a little bit about Collywood as well. We're here in Chennai. The Collywood stars are in the house, and we'll get them involved too. But for the Chennai side, because we're here in Chennai, that previous result from John Lancaster, such an important result. He'll want to go one step further this time.
Yeah, and he's here with one objective on his mind. He wants to win races. He wants to show what the team can do. They've had their backs to the wall ever since the start of the season mechanically. They finally seem to have hit the sweet spot, and that comes to all the hard work from the engineers, all the talent in the garage. They've managed to get it right, and now the car looks pretty sweet. So it's up to them to make it all come together. This is their opportunity. They put so much hard work in. It's wonderful to see the Speed Demons Delhi team come from the back of the points table to get their first victory. This is the last chance to get a home win in Chennai. They're going to be gunning for it with everything they've got.
And John Lancaster is primed for it. You've got the second car of Parth Ghorpade down in ninth. Caught up with Parth just before the race, and he said he's been having gearbox issues, shifting between gears, and he's just hoping and pleading with the car to make sure that things are a little better leading into this race. And you've got Nicole Havada with him in that car. So there's so much more that goes into it. There's so much that meets the eye, but there's so much more that doesn't behind the scenes, what the drivers are going through as well, how they're reacting to changes in the car. But this is now a minute away from kicking off in this formation lap.
A grid that sees some of the best talent across India, across Asia as a whole, Australasia, the Americas and Europe. Drivers from the worlds of Le Mans, the Formula One paddock, the best that GT has to offer, the best that Formula 4 has to offer, the best that touring cars has to offer, the best that karting has to offer. And they have all come together here for the Indian Racing League. It's been wonderful to see all of these amazing talents put on the same playing field, in the same cars, with the same engines, the same technical know-how, and the same lack of experience in India, some of them. And they have been on an even playing field, and the racing really has excelled as a result.
Just good-looking cars as well, I've got to say. You look at that top shot of the grid. They're very, very good-looking cars, these Wolves. This is where things start to take off, though. 35 minutes plus the one lap. So if you don't finish your final lap before it hits zero, you'll still get one more lap to go. Couple of cars still on the grid. They're getting going. We're okay. We're okay.
And while we're at it, the noise of these cars as well. It's no wonder that the fans love them. They really do have that vibrance. But then it is an Aprilia RSV that you see in the World Superbike Championship, so of course the noise is good.
I was just going to say, as anyone that loves bikes, that Aprilia engine, the RSV engine, it is thunderous under this garb of the Wolf cars. They're really, really good to listen to. They're powerful. They're great to chuck into a corner. The drivers enjoy driving these cars around this circuit. And we've seen them sliding about the tail, just leaving a few drivers, catching it back in the nick of time. It's a proper challenge for them, but it therefore makes for really good racing to watch too.
Absolutely, and you see drivers here who've got so much wealth of experience, like Neil Jarni, he's won the Le Mans 24 Hours. Oliver Webb, he's won countless Le Mans races, as well as doing Formula One runs in vintage machinery. He was at the Dubai Historic Grand Prix last week driving James Hunt Hesketh. Then you come to the likes of John Lancaster, a European Le Mans Series champion. And even they have said, you know, these cars are fun. They are a nice blend between single-seater and Le Mans prototype. They're loose, they're a bit like giant go-karts, so you get the fun, you get the vibrance, and there is a real challenge in keeping hold of these cars when they are loose on the limit.
And that's why also for the younger drivers, they're used to doing so much good karting, international level of karting around the world, that they're used to a car like this. It's not too daunting for them to jump into and be quick instantly. The likes of Ruhan Alva, the likes of guys like Anindit or Akhil Rabindra, or others like Amir Syed, they're still feeling confident enough to throw the car in. Shahan Ali Mohsin, another example of that, 18 years old, karting champion, loving life at the moment.
So it's the same front row of the starting grid as we saw in Sprint 2. Shahan Ali Mohsin for Speed Demons Delhi and John Lancaster for the Chennai Turbo Riders. They share the front row once again. Then Bianca Bustamante of the Bangalore Speedsters. Amir Saeed of Goa Aces, P4. That's a threatening position for him to be. Alistair Young for Godspeed Kochi wants to make it. 2 wins out of 2 for him this weekend. Anshul Gandhi, Bangalore Speedsters, P6. Then Aki Rabindra, Pat Gopade, Fabien Volvend, Kevin Miroka, Anindit Reddy, and Celia Martin for the Speed Demons Delhi. One at the front, one at the back. It could be a really interesting race for them. Now, time to blend the speed. You've got to be careful to get a decent formation. The final race of the year on the Madras International Circuit. Here we go. Up to the start from John Lancaster. He's got a much better start this time, but so too is Bianca Bustamante. She'll seize the opportunity on the inside. She can't quite get there on the inside of John Lancaster, and there's a little bit of rubbing going on between one of the Hyderabad Blackbirds. That is the number 9 of Akhil Rabindra going wheel to wheel with the 4 of Anshul Gandhi. They just about stay out of each other's warpath, so they come through the first sector without incident. Everybody's made it through. Celia Martin going wheel to wheel with Pat Gopade, and she gets through. Nice move.
Very, very dicey for the top 3 slots, and I've got to say Bianca Bustamante does well to just keep it clean. John Lancaster was alongside her to her left, and she decides, nope, let me back out of it, I'll let John through. There will be opportunities later, but...
Oh, the problem! That's going very wrong indeed. That's Anshul Gandhi. Anshul Gandhi for the Bangalore Speedsters goes around. Now, it's not clear whether he lost that on his own or whether there was some assistance, but it looks very tight indeed in that far section. Up on the grass there goes the number 2 of Alistair Young. He actually kicks the grass through in the middle sector, and he's going to lose ground here to Akhil Rabindra, who's going to come around the outside of him. No, you don't, says Alistair Young.
Also plenty of carnage at the back while things are peaceful at the front. We just saw a glimpse of Pat Gopade at the back as well, coasting along. Let's just get another look at this. Oh, all on his own on that occasion. Anshul Gandhi just losing the rear end.
Yeah, I don't think there was contact from Volvend. I think she was too far back to make contact. I think he just locked the brakes and the back end started to come around. A very unfortunate mistake there for Anshul Gandhi, it appears. But as they come over the top of the crest, Alistair Young still under pressure from Akhil Rabindra and his teammate Anindit Reddy. So they come through down the main straight once again, and the Hyderabad Blackbirds are trying their best to get back in there with the Godspeed Kochi man Alistair Young, who crosses the line in P4 for the moment.
Yeah, this is where things start to get spicy. There's opportunities for a lot of these drivers to push hard, but again, it's about tyre management. It's about being able to control the pace of the race. It is a long race, and there we go, another one. Celia Martin on that occasion has gone off, and it's a similar part of the circuit.
Seriously difficult to keep these cars around. Who else has gone off there? That looks like one of the Goa Aces cars, I think. Maybe that is Kevin Miroka. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to double check that on the replay again. But it looks as though Celia Martin dicing with Kevin Miroka, and it's all come undone. Here we go, let's have a look. And that's a big, oh, that's a big launch on the inside of Kevin Miroka, and that actually came from Anshul Gandhi, I do believe, the number 4 Bangalore Speedsters car. No, that is Celia Martin, my apologies. It's so difficult to tell those two cars apart. But Martin made the move on the inside. Kevin Morocco was already taking his racing line.
And you've got to say that's on Celia Martin, unfortunately, just into the side of Kevin Morocco. Not much he could have done there. It's not a part of the circuit that's easy to overtake at either, but it is that first challenging part of the circuit, the first sector. This is now the Chennai Turbo riders. Now they're riding on the luck and the ability of John Lancaster, who's got Bianca Bustamante actually chasing him down in third.
So here is the battle further back, the two Hyderabad Blackbirds still going very well together. Akhil Rabindra and Anindit Reddy, 6th and 7th as they come through. And it is going to be interesting to see if John Lancaster can again up the tempo. And this is what he needs to do. He needs to be as close to Shahan Ali Mohsin as humanly possible. Stay with him, hold the line, keep close to him, because if they can overturn this in the pit stops, and if he hands over to Sandeep Kumar and he can get a better run than Akash Gowda, then that's where this race is going to be won and lost.
Also keep your eyes on these two blue cars. You've got Amir Syed, who's a good young driver to watch. He is in that number 8 car. But just behind him, Alistair Young chasing him down. And then you've got the two Hyderabad Blackbirds of Akhil Rabindra and Anindit Reddy. So these four, this could get pretty spicy. Amir Syed is just going backwards into Alistair Young's sights, and he's sizing him up for the move.
Fastest lap of the race comes from Alistair Young, the Malaysian, trying his best to push on the back of Amir Syed. And Amir Syed going very well in the Go Races car. But look at Bianca Bustamante. She's actually upping the tempo. She's coming closer to John Lancaster in the Chennai Turbo Riders. She's not defending position anymore. She's on the offense.
Yeah,
she's used the frustration of that penalty that she got in race 2 to think, do you know what? I could do better than that.
She was distraught after the last race. We saw her sobbing in tears, and understandably, because on track she finished third. She made that error at the start, and it did cost her. Now this is the battle to watch. Amir Syed holding position at the moment, but for how long can he soak up the pressure coming in from Alistair Young? Oh, he thinks about a move going into the last corner. That could have been risky, and he holds it together now. The straight leading up to C1, it's a flowing right-hander leading into C2. That could be the opportunity.
So Amir Syed trying to hold on to this 4th place. Young, Rabindra and Reddy still giving chase. The top 3 are fairly close together. This is a much more even battle after the first 5 minutes of racing. Let's have a look at what's happening further back. And that's Celia Martin with damage to her car. So that's a big problem. Kevin Morocco trying to get through. Martin trying to hold the car steady as they run side by side. And it looks as though Celia Martin is going to have a one-way trip to the pit lane if things keep up like that. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. I think they came together earlier in the race. There's too much damage for her. Just ahead of them, we saw Parth Godpade, who I said at the start of the race, he's been struggling with gearbox issues, and sadly for him, looks like that has continued. But this is the battle that is brewing at the middle of the pack. You've got 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th pretty evenly matched, but it is Alistair Young chasing down Amir Syed. Amir Syed is a young, bright driver. He's driven Formula 4s in Europe as well. He's one of those up-and-coming drivers to watch out for, still just about finishing school. But when young Indian drivers are doing well on the international stage, just gaining in their careers, you want to see them hold their own, and he certainly is doing that.
Well, we've got an incident at turn 5 under investigation. Now that has got to be the spin for Anshul Gandhi, because he's the only one who's gone off at turn 5. So I'm not sure what's being investigated there, but certainly they are going to look into it. And also, for the 3rd race this weekend, a false start is under investigation. So another false start.
Yeah, we've seen it costing Bianca Bustamante. Oh! Almost goes off there, just goes wide. Holds it together though, Alistair Young. He is really mounting the pressure on Amir Syed, but it is not going to come easy for him.
He's really got to work this carefully, because he's in the piggy in the middle situation right now, isn't he? He's trying to put pressure on Amir Syed whilst also defend from Akhil Rabindra, so he's got to go offensive and defensive in exactly the same breath, and this is not going to be easy to sustain. They work their way through the left, through the right, back onto the charge up towards 5. This is not going to be easy again, but Alistair Young under big pressure from Akhil Rabindra. But it looks as though the Goya Aces man, Amir Syed, is just giving himself enough distance from Alistair Young to be fairly comfortable.
In some sense, he's backed him up into the Blackbirds Hyderabad side, and Akhil Rabindra has the opportunity now. Over the last couple of laps, he's suddenly found his way into the back of Alistair Young. Yes, Anindit Reddy is in 7th as well. It is a strong result if it keeps going the same way, because they'll have the experienced Neil Jani to step into the car later too. So for a lot of these cars, it's also about keeping it together before the teammate jumps in for the second half of the race.
The speed demon up front is still doing a great job. Shahan Ali Mohsin leading the way here in front of John Lancaster for the Chennai Turbo Riders, and then the Bangalore speedster herself, Bianca Bustamante, Still in third position. This is the duel for fourth, and look how close Alistair Young is starting to get now behind MS Syed. It's now 6 teams in the top 6. It's as competitive as you could possibly be, and they are really ripping it up now into the final turn. Goa Aces, Godspeed Kochi, Hyderabad Blackbirds, they come off the final turn, and again, Akhil Rabindra trying to catch out Alistair Young in the final turn. He's not quite close enough to throw it up the inside in the first corner. They've got to carry the speed through here, make sure the back doesn't overtake the front. Down to the braking zone for 2, get it tidy, nice and planted. And Indid ready now in front of Fabian Volvend, and then it is Anshul Gandhi in front of Parth Gopade, and then it is Kevin Miroka in front of Celia Mata.
A two-way battle has just become a proper three-way battle. And the third man in that lineup, Akhil Rabindra, he is a quick young driver as well. We've seen him already dominant in this year in the IRL. It was him and Neil Jani who absolutely dominated things in the previous weekend. And so take nothing away from him. He's a quick driver. He's waiting for the car to respond, and it seems to be responding now. Yet again, at this part of the circuit, the back section, turns 5, 6, 7. That's where Alistair Young seems to gain ground on Amir Syed.
So this is going to be a tough one. Alistair Young still trying to close in on Amir Syed, but how much of a gain can he hope to make? They're just trying to reel in the driver in front, but at the moment you've got the two Hyderabad Blackbird cards together, and they are working their craft here. Akhil Rabindra and an Indith Reddy still trying to hold station. Reddy is keeping a decent sort of pace, not really falling too far back from the trio up in front, but he does need to be just that slightest bit closer, just in case one of them falls off the road. That's where he can make the gains. Bianca Bustamante now settling into the rhythm a little bit in third place, but these three, anything could still happen, so you want to be as close to the tail of them as possible.
You also start to wonder if there's a car that's being backed up and can't quite make a move. When that pit window opens, strategy starts to come in. When do teams want to come in for that pit stop? When do they want to swap over? Because if someone's bogged down and yet has the pace, you start to think about whether you want to pit early, how late can you leave it. So all of this starts to play into the race as well.
So they come off the turn there in sector 1 and on through this long sweeping section. Flat on the throttle all the way through. Left, right, left again, down that short stretch, up towards the next tight sector. You take it nice and carefully through the first left-hander, carry a fair bit of speed. Then you've got to tighten up, and you wait on the throttle. You wait, you wait, you wait. Now you get a little bit of power out of the turn, and Alistair Young has tightened up on the Goa Races car in front. MS Syed having to balance the car in the radius a little bit. The back end wanting to kick out. He's got to keep it balanced, and they're all catching Bianca Bustamante in the same moment.
Yeah, Amir Syed had Alistair Young under the rear wing at one stage, but as you said, they are catching Bianca Bustamante, and I think Amir Syed will suddenly start to see her in his sights and start pushing. That helps a young man. If he's got another target in front of him, you start to shift your focus from someone behind you and Alistair Young. Oh, Alistair's just made a bit of an error, and he's just backed up into Akhil Rabindra as we've got a shot of Celia Martin retiring, unfortunately, in that car.
Yeah, too much damage to the front end, unfortunately, and now it's going to be an interesting one, but Alistair Young tried to have a go there at MS Syed, and as you can see, it hasn't worked out. If anything, Syed is actually catching up to Bianca Bustamante. But this is where it's going to be really tough for Bianca. She's already done a full 20-minute race where she was having to work incredibly hard to hang on to the podium, and now she's got to do it all over again. This is why they wanted to put Rishon Rajiv in the car first, to give her a little bit more breathing space. She is going above and beyond the call of duty here to hang on to third.
Yeah, I think she must have wanted it as well, just feeling that adrenaline through the veins. She's feeling at one with the car. And we just saw Alistair Young earlier actually made an error at this part of the circuit, coming out of that left-right-hander onto the long straight. He was chasing down Amir Syed, but it's just given Amir Syed a bit more breathing room.
Kevin Miroka. So Kevin Miroka stationary on the entrance to the pit lane. Now, this is obviously pit stop window time, but look, he's really struggling to get that car down pit road. It's very strange that he's stopped before he even gets down pit road.
Yeah, the pit window isn't open yet, so this has got to be either a drive-through. Yeah, it could be a drive-through penalty here for him, or...
Yeah, look, they're trying to push him away because there's definitely a mechanical issue of some kind. Look, they're... Oh, they've actually got a new engine cover, so the engine cover has actually come off the car. That's why he stopped in the pit lane on the way in.
It's definitely the contact between himself and Celia Martin. Didn't look like the most healthy car either. Kevin Miroka, unfortunately, hasn't had the best start to his Indian Racing League career.
Well, this is a guy who's obviously been in GP2, in Formula 2. He's been doing a lot of grunt work and testing work in Audis and Mercedes and Porsches, doing a lot of development work for Dunlop out at the Nordschleife in Germany. He knows his racing cars. He knows how to handle things. This is the first time he's been racing. Here we go. The floodgates have opened. The pit window is open too. And everybody's coming in straight away. Fair play to Bianca Bustamante. She held on the whole way.
Yeah, she did, and all four of those cars in that bunch of four have come in. So this is going to really make for an interesting next part of the race, because we talked about Amir Syed doing a great job. So too Alistair Young and Bianca Bustamante. All of them have pitted at the same time, and in comes Parth Korpade, who's been struggling, unfortunately.
So out of the car gets Anindith Reddy. Into the car is going to get Lola Lovinfos, the French driver from Rouen, 17 years of age, and has already been doing a season and a half of racing in Spanish F4. There's the confirmation. Pit window is open. Amir Syed is in the pit lane for the Go races. He's going to hand over to Sohail Shah. There he is. Sohail Shah getting strapped into the car. Also in the pits we have Parth Korpade. We saw that. He's going to hand over to the Canadian 16-year-old Nicole Haverda, who has been very strong indeed at Button Willow a month and a half ago. There you see the changeover of the seats there, Sohail. This is why the pit stop takes 3 minutes.
And just a good word on this side as well, the Goa Aces, both young drivers, both very, very talented. Sohail Shah getting in, Amir Syed doing a good run in the car as well just before this. But here's a nice look at number 2, which is Alistair Young. He hands over to Nikhil, who's also had plenty of pace this weekend, so that could be an interesting car to watch out, and they'll come out in that battle that we saw on track already.
In terms of the two drivers in one car, this is one of the most threatening driver combinations, these two. They've got so much raw speed between the two of them. There you see Nicole Haverda, the 16-year-old Canadian. She's done such a great job transitioning to this race car. She's only really done American F3 prior to this. So look at Alistair Young. He is tired. He's worked incredibly hard there to try and keep that car in a good position. But these two as a combination, they're one of the strongest driver pairings in the Indian Racing League.
Yeah, I think you look down 3, 4, 5 and 6. Bianca Bustamante, Alistair Young. You've got Sohail Shah jumping in the car alongside Amir Syed in that one. Akhil Rabindra and Neil Jani. You've got Nikhil jumping in. Those four cars, very good combinations of drivers, and you've got to complement each other. I think that is part of the charm of the Indian Racing League. If you're not giving your teammates something to work with, it doesn't really bode well for the team overall. But all four of those sides have a really, really strong driver pairing.
Yeah, chemistry is really, really important. Now, coming out onto the circuit, that is Gabriela Zhirkova, who is now taken over from Kevin Miroka. So Gabriela Zhirkova has got into the number 7. She'll finish the race, and that's all fine and dandy as far as Go races are concerned. It's not really where she wanted to be, but you've got to use what you've got.
So up at the top, Shahan Ali Mohsin and John Lancaster still staying out on track. They're confident. They are the more confident men at the moment in that setup as well, given that they've just come off a 1-2 in the previous race. So they're doing a longer run for their teams.
But the danger man is Akhil Rabindra. He's in 3rd position. He can go quite long into this race. If he can overhaul both of those cars and build a bit of a gap, and he has just set the fastest lap, who's he going to hand over to? Neil Jani. This is going to be interesting. Can they snatch the win back after all? As Rishon Rajiv now takes over from Bianca Bustamante, and there's the number 1 car. So that is Fabienne Volven. She has stayed out, the driver from Liechtenstein. She stays out in the car before eventually she'll hand over to Ruhan Alva, another big talent in this Indian Racing League. But now Rishon Rajiv is in the car. Watch for the fireworks, they're coming.
Yeah, watch out for them, because I think Rishon Rajiv is one of those quick youngsters who's really impressed already so far in this series. He took over from Bianca Bustamante, and that again, as we've talked about, is a very strong but young driver pairing. Anshul Gandhi in the other side that's ahead of them, the number 4 car. But Rishon Rajiv has given us so much that we've actually loved watching some of these young men, as Akhil Rabindra, you were talking about him earlier, throws in a fastest lap for the Hyderabad squad.
Well, look at the gap that Shahan Ali Mohsin has pulled out on John Lancaster. He's up to nearly 5 seconds now, so he's really putting in some pace to try and extend that gap. He wants to give Akash Gowda as decent a gap as possible to get him out in front of Sandeep Kumar. He doesn't want to have to stress about that gap that they're going to have when they come out of the pits. Now, we realised the reason that Kevin Miroka came into the pits was because he was actually given the black flag, because he had the bodywork detached, and obviously there was no engine cover. That's why he had to pit. That's why he stopped. He was given a black flag. So that just clarifies that. Now, the Speed Demons Delhi team, this is not a clear victory yet, because you've got Akhil Rabindra and Rishon Rajiv now on the charge. Rajiv is going to be in this car to the end. He's about half a lap and a half or so back, but he'll take that back when the driver's in front pit. But crucially, Akhil Rabindra is trying to reel in the gap a little bit so that when Niljani gets in the car, he's got less work to do.
Well, Akhil Rabindra is doing the job on his own at the moment. He's done a 31.9, which is comparative to John Lancaster, who's done a 33.2. So much quicker, and actually allows for Niljani, when he steps in the car, to actually do half the job he needs to do. Akhil Rabindra is showing that he is just as good or just as quick as his teammate, as he proved the previous weekend as well. Akhil Rabindra proving to be the able teammate to the experienced Niljani.
So Fabian Volvend and Anshul Gandhi have now both pitted, and they will respectively hand over to Ruhan Alva and Oliver Webb. So this is going to be an interesting one. There is Ollie Webb, the 31-year-old from Manchester. I almost took 10 years off him there. You would have loved me for that.
I was just talking to him earlier before this race, and he said, you know what, I felt like I've just not been in the car. I caught up with him last weekend in Dubai, where he was driving the Hesketh, and he said, well, I wish I had that around here. It would have been handy to drive around this Chennai circuit. Just a quick word between the drivers before Ollie Webb jumps into the car. And that's always nice, just comparing notes on how the car feels coming into his stint.
Oh, and that's a stop on track. That is Lola Lovinfoss. Lola Lovinfoss with a mechanical problem. Oh, that is a disaster for Lola Lovinfoss, and she's on the circuit itself. Mechanical problems then for the Hyderabad Blackbirds, number 10, and that could trigger a safety car at a crucial moment in the middle of the pit stop window.
That is going to be really, really dicey, and I just wonder how it's going to affect the race in terms of the pit stops as well. That pit window is open, remember, and that is a pity for Lola Lovinfoss. This is Fabian Volvend, who is in the pit now for the change.
But if the safety car comes out, this is going to ruin the races of anybody who pitted in earlier. Anybody who made an earlier pit stop is now going to have no chance to catch up, because the pit stop doesn't change in minimum speed. They're going to safety car board. There you go. So Ruhan Alva is going to have a massive problem now, because the leaders are not going to need to wait for their pit stop. They can still do 3 minutes mandatory pit stop time, but the others will be going slowly behind the safety car. This has ruined their race.
But it's played into the hands of Shahan Ali Mohsin, John Lancaster, Akhil Rabindra and Niljani. Therefore, they played it really smart. They waited. I don't know whether you can always think about whether there's a safety car to come or not, but luck has favoured the long stint, the brave stint of Shahan Ali Mohsin, John Lancaster and Akhil Rabindra. And as you said, they can now buy a bit of time when they pit and everyone else is under the safety car.
So now that the safety car is out on track, the top three, it's very simple. Pit now, box now, because you're under safety car. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen now to the drivers. They won't catch up. They could not even gain back the lap they've lost under safety car conditions, because it all comes down to time. It doesn't come to giving the positions back how you need to. That's the difficulty with motor racing. If you have a problem and the safety car comes out, well, there's nothing you can do. So into the pits has come the number 6s in the pits as well. So that is
John Lancaster,
yeah, and also just in behind Akhil Rabindra. Now, has Shahan Ali Mohsin come into the pits as well for the Speed Demons Delhi team? I can't see quite from that position down in the pit lane. Ruhan Alva is about to get out. We need to see, is the car there? Yes, it is. So Speed Demons Delhi, number 11, the race leader, is there as well. So Shahan Ali Mohsin has got out. Akash Gowda is going to get in. There's Niljani waiting to take over the number 9 Hyderabad Blackbirds machine. This is where the race really starts.
What's good though also, Jake, is the fact that actually it doesn't affect too much of the rest of the grid. It's nice that not everyone's gained a massive advantage here. Obviously a big advantage for these two. Sandeep Kumar will jump into this Chennai Turbo Riders car.
Look at the Bangalore Speedsters car that's being wheeled in. That's being wheeled in behind them. So that means that Oliver Webb still hasn't competed in a race in the Indian Racing League.
Yeah, you've got to feel for him, and he sort of felt things were just not going his way somehow. But this is a combination to watch as well. I think John Lancaster handing across to Sandeep Kumar, who knows this circuit by the back of his palm, and now Niljani with all the experience in the world. He's already got a win under his belt at the IRL. He has the confidence of that, and this young side, Akash Gowda, Shahan Ali Mohsin, they have been rapid this weekend for the Speed Demons Delhi, who, remember, coming into this weekend were dead last as a unit.
The first Indian driver ever to win an F4 race. Akash Gowda now has all the pressure in the world on his shoulders. The safety car has bunched up the pack, and it's caught up with Rishon Rajiv. But the difficulty is, of course, when the drivers who are ahead of them come out of the pits, they won't have caught the safety car. So this is going to be fascinating as to how this is now going to play out.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting with 13 minutes and under now left, plus one lap. that car is still on track, the car of Lola Lovenfors.
You've really got a feel for Lola. She's come over here as a 17-year-old racing driver in international competition for the first time. She's only ever done races in Europe prior to this. She did do a little bit of driving in the Wolf before coming here, so unlike some of the other drivers who are racing in the Indian Racing League for the first time, she had a little bit of knowledge in this car coming here. But she has embraced the challenge, she has done her homework, she works well with the teams and the mechanics, she really is strong on the data, she really wants to get the mechanical understanding of the car, as well as where to position the car in braking, in radius, in apexes, in turning, in traction. She's one of the drivers who has really made good use of this opportunity coming here.
And I think outside the car as well, Lola's loved being a part of the Indian culture. We saw her really enjoying the crowds here at the Madras International Circuit as well. So it's got to be a deflating feeling for someone like Lola to have to retire for no fault of her own. But as the cars bunch up, safety car still on track, Lola Lovenfors is still on track as well. This next phase of the race, just wonder how it's going to play out, as the leading few cars of John Lancaster, Neil Jani and Akash Gowda is actually not going to be John Lancaster, it will be Sandeep Kumar in that car. When they catch up to them, will be interesting how to see how this plays out.
Right, so the pack have now just unlapped themselves, and I think they were 2 laps down actually, rather than 1 lap down originally. I'll check to see whether that's correct or not. So yeah, they're now a lap adrift. But here's the interesting thing. Now the leaders are coming out onto the circuit, and well, now we've got a really interesting situation because the safety car has now got to find a way to catch them back up, but they're now behind them on the road. So what do? Do they just stop and wait for the safety car to catch back up to them? This is fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. I just wonder otherwise whether they get the cars to come past the other cars on that lineup, because they've got to unlap themselves otherwise.
Well, for those who are a little bit concerned about the case of Anshul Gandhi and Fabian Volvend, that incident that was under investigation on the first lap, no further action taken. So that clears Fabian Volvend of any wrongdoing. Yeah,
good run from Akhil Rabindra, from Amir Syed, who you just saw on your screens as well. I think they did a very, very impressive run in their cars. Anindit Reddy, he's not got too much of a smile on his face, but that might change given the second half of this race is still to come. But Lola Lovenfors, unfortunately, had to retire, so it's a bad one for the Hyderabad Blackbird side.
Yeah, it's the animation that you see there from Rabindra and Reddy, as they have obviously done their hard work. Celia Martin out of the race, Lola Lovenfors now out of the race, and Oliver Webb now out of the race. So there's only 9 cars still running, but now we've got this very obscure and very bizarre situation now, where the 3 leaders are actually behind the safety car queue on the road. So that is now the safety car essentially what do they have to do here? Because look, they've already caught up.
Well, ideally, the safety car will just let all these cars through.
But look, there's been a change in position of those 3. The one that went out first is the Chennai Turbo Riders car. That's now leading. The Speed Demons Delhi team actually got out 3rd. So they've lost positions. They're down in 3rd place.
Yeah, so I think they've pipped them in that pit lane. So John Lancaster, who handed the car over to Sandeep, is out in front. But what you will see perhaps is the safety car letting the cars through to unlap themselves and then catching back to the back of those top 3 cars, or the top 4 cars rather.
So what we'll end up with essentially is a 5-minute sprint race by the time this all clears itself up. My goodness, that's going to be fun.
I'm not complaining.
Neither am I, absolutely. But now we've got the genuine possibility of the Chennai Turbo Riders having a duel now with Neil Jani. Sandeep Kumar will never have been placed under more pressure in his entire racing career. He's got a 24 Hours of Le Mans winner stuck right behind his gearbox. This will be fun.
You've got one young Indian man who knows this track inside out. You've got a man who's a Le Mans winner behind him. I mean, those are 2 things that we didn't think we'd say coming into this year of motorsport in India, but that's what the IRL has given us as the safety car still heads around this circuit. It is going to be a really good dart to the finish over the next 8.5 minutes. That should come down to about 6.5 maybe by the time this safety car comes in.
Now, there's a little bit of a difficulty here because they can't really relay the messages to the drivers in this queue. They haven't got pit-to-car radio in the same way that other categories do. So all of the communication is done via the pit board. So I think they're going to have to restart this race based on where they are. Look, the safety car lights have gone out. Oh, there's a bit of bodywork that's come off one of the cars. I think that was the Number 7 again shedding bodywork there, the Go Races car of Gabriela Gilkova. So Rishon Rajiv effectively becomes the road leader, even though he's in 4th position. The thing is, we want to go racing, but these guys are all effectively a lap down. Look at Rishon Rajiv. He is backing the pack up as much as possible, just in case there's some shenanigans amongst the top 3 who are directly behind them in the queue. This is a fascinating situation, but they want to go racing earlier so we get more race time. So they can't really communicate to them because they haven't got pit to car radio. So you can't communicate to them, everybody go through and let the safety car catch them back up again. So they've got to go green this time.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly try and send race directors a message and find out what the actual situation is. I think all of us are wondering how they're going to restart this and in what order they remain. Well, but this is where the restart starts.
This is it. Yeah, here we go. So that's the answer. Rishon Rajiv is going to go racing. He's in 4th position. These guys are the leaders. 1, 2 and 3, a lap down of everybody else. Here we go, green, green, green. We're racing. Rajiv is now 4th. Shah is 5th. Bora is 6th. Then it's Ran Alba and going for the lead instantly. Neil Jani is going to try and take the move here on Sandeep Kumar. The 3 cars at the back of the field are a lap down. Kumar goes off and Neil Jani takes the lead. Neil Jani puts the Hyderabad Blackbirds into the lead there as Sandeep Kumar overcooks it at turn 1. That's exactly what Neil Jani was trying to do.
It didn't take too long, unfortunately, for the youngster Sandeep Kumar. He just couldn't soak up the pressure from behind him. It is a big name when you see the helmet of Neil Jani tracking you down. There's a bit of nerves that creep in, and those nerves have forced the error at the exit of C1. It did not take very long at all, and Neil Jani now will put the power on.
Well, can Nicole Haverda play the team game here? Because Neil Jani is trying to get past her, and Haverda is trying to back him up so that Sandeep Kumar has got another crack at it. This is like Driven with Sylvester Stallone. He's trying to get through past Nicole Haverda, and Haverda is doing everything she can to get Sandeep Kumar back into play here. This is fabulous team racing. That's the dynamic in the teams racing. If they can give Chennai a victory, then they're going to try every trick in the book.
And remember, Nicole Haverda is actually sitting down in 9th, so she's found a way to keep him behind at the moment, Neil Jani. But Sandeep Kumar has got to use that opportunity, see what his teammate has done for him, and try and make that charge, find a way to stay behind Neil Jani, stay close enough to put a move in. This is where Neil Jani goes in.
Yeah, here comes the move. Neil Jani's not going to make it too complicated. Nicole Haverda's done her best to give Sandeep Kumar another chance, but now she needs to get out of the way and let her teammate come through. So Sandeep Kumar should sweep by here in his 2nd position. I'm not sure they've quite figured out the calculations of that. And look, Sandeep Kumar gesturing. Come on, Nicole, I've got a chance at the win here. You need to let me go. Now she's going to do it. No, she's not.
Surely the Chennai side should have had a blue flag of some sort.
And there goes the move. Up the inside, that's going to be the overtake from Akash Gowda. Oh, the spin for Nicole Haverda. She drops it directly in front of the path of Sandeep Kumar. Akash Gowda has now got the chance to come through in 2nd place. Here he goes. He's going to try and tuck out of the dirty air. Up the inside, into the left-hander. Commit. No, he's not going to do it. A bit of a dive on the inside from Sandeep Kumar to recover as Haverda gets going once again. But is this going to be the chance for Akash Gowda to get into P2?
I've got to feel for Sandeep Kumar in all this because he's done nothing wrong. He was trying to gesture to Nicole Haverda, and now he's under pressure, locks up yet again. He's made one error that allowed Neil Jani through. Now he's got Akash Gowda, who's on his tail as well. And Akash Gowda certainly has a bit more composure about him. Sandeep Kumar is just feeling the frustration of his teammate not letting him through.
Well, don't throw the book too harshly at Nicole Haverda. She's only 16 years of age. She is the youngest driver in the entire field. Just a very easy tank slapper there. But unfortunately, it's accidentally impeded her teammates' chances of catching the Hyderabad Blackbirds up front.
The good thing is at least there was no clash between the two Chennai cars.
Absolutely.
When we didn't see it initially, you thought maybe it was Sandeep Kumar's frustration that may have just clipped the back of Nicole Haverda. She's gone off all on her own. As you said, she's only 16 years old. She will learn from every one of these experiences on track. And this is what it's about also. You get to rub shoulders with some of the most experienced drivers in the business, and it gives you the opportunity to learn from every single race that you're out there for.
Absolutely. In a championship like this one, when it's a team game rather than a selfish solo driver game, this isn't necessarily about what you win. It's about what you learn. And the drivers are having to work here in a very different team dynamic to the way you normally get in motorsport. It's a very unique category. This sort of racing could easily work in the FIA Motorsport Games, you know. We're going back there 2 years from now in Valencia. They should get Aditya Patel and Aman Ibrahim on the phone. You've got a good idea going here, mate.
Yeah, 100%. It's looking really, really good at the moment. Gabriela Yilkova, that car has struggled for a while now, and he's got Juan Alvarez sizing it up. But this is where things start to get a bit tricky. Nikhil Bora. We've seen him really struggle with that car a lot, chucking it about. He couldn't get past Bustamante earlier in that sprint race, and you've got Sohail Shah just ahead of him.
Well, Jani has managed to extend the gap over Sandeep Kumar and Akash Gowda. They're finally battling away, and Sandeep Kumar is doing everything he can to keep Akash Gowda behind him. There's not going to be enough time, really, for Rishon Rajiv to make more of an impact, but there's the race leader, Neil Jani, and he's got yellow flags in front of him.
Yeah,
safety car again! Safety car again! Now, that could actually bunch the field up for a final lap blast, depending on how long it takes. This race could actually end up finishing behind safety car. So this is a big difficulty. What's the reason why the safety car is out on circuit? We don't quite know the reason for that, but obviously the safety car has got to let everybody go through, so now they can get them all on the leading lap. But are they going to do that? Because obviously the field is coming towards them. We'll have to see what the safety car does.
With 2 minutes and 10 to go plus a lap now, just wonder how much of an impact it's going to have on the race, because will they even get going in time?
I don't think so, depending on how long it takes to clear whatever incident it is that we have been forced to do. I'm trying to look at who it is.
Unless, Jake, we get a one-lap blitz
Well,
at
that's
the end.
possible. Yeah, that's very possible. But I only count 8 cars going through. There is 1 car that is not in the lineup, so we can see Rishon Rajiv, Sohail Shah, Nikhil Bora, Ruhan Alva, Gabriel Yilkova.
So how they're communicating at the moment, you can see the passenger seat of that safety car. They're gesturing to the drivers whether to stay or go.
Overtake the safety car. Come on, he's gesturing to him. Overtake the safety car. But he can't, because if he takes the rule book into his own hands, he'll get a penalty. He has to wait for the instruction. That's the problem.
I think they're waiting to understand the gesture, and you can see a couple of the other cars
Now
behind.
they're doing it. Now they're doing it. There we go.
That's what they were gesturing the entire time, and it was actually really good from Sohail Shah, who was saying, go on, mate, keep going, keep going. Sohail Shah was gesturing to Rishon Rajiv to get a move on, and finally now they'll unlap themselves. They'll bunch up behind the front 3 of Neil Jani, Sandeep Kumar and Akash Gowda, and we might have a one-lap blitz.
I think you'll just get 1 lap if you get any more green flag racing of any kind at all. They've got to make it back there as quick as possible. But fair play to Rishon Rajiv in 4th position. You can argue, get past him, but he can't do it unless he's absolutely sure he's allowed to.
Yeah.
Otherwise he could trigger a penalty. He's got to be careful with that.
Absolutely. I think the gesturing from the marshals and from the officials, the only reason that Sohail Shah was on his back saying, get on, because we need to catch up with the front 3. They want to get a chance and maybe a podium finish here. Rishon Rajiv, Sohail Shah have that opportunity if they can punch up to the back of Akash Gowda and Sandeep Kumar.
So I'm being told that the safety car is actually out of debris rather than a stationary car. So there is actually debris on the circuit. That's the reason we've gone under safety car. Now these quartet of drivers are trying to catch up to the pack. There is the safety car. It's caught up with Jani, as well as Sandeep Kumar, Akash Gowda and Nicole Haverda.
Safety car's lights are still blinking.
Safety car's lights are still on, yeah, and the time has run down to 0. Now they get +1 lap. The only way we're going to get a racing lap in is if those lights go out now. And unfortunately, the queue hasn't caught up to them. So I would guess now that the safety car is actually going to finish this race. That's a real shame.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame. Unfortunately, there you go, the blinking light's still on. Race distance has been covered, and there's only 1 lap after the time has run out. So that 1 lap is going to finish under the safety car. The cars at the back will bunch up, but therefore this is how they'll finish up. You would think Neil Jani under the safety car will take a win.
Absolutely. Neil Jani and the Hyderabad Blackbirds, who have had a bit of a rough weekend by all rights. They've now finally managed to bounce their way back, and that's how important Akhil Rabindra's first stint was, to keep as close to those 2 up front as possible.
And a big word to Sandeep Kumar and to John Lancaster for Chennai, in Chennai. That is a massive result, and not just in a sprint race, but to do it in a feature race where you've got double the points. It is such an important weekend for the Chennai Turbo Riders.
Very unfortunate indeed for the Bangalore Speedsters. Bianca and Rishon have been mighty in this race. You've just got to feel for Rishon Rajiv, the safety car coming out at the wrong moment for them. I think they could have got a podium. I think they could easily, potentially, have even gone for the win.
And Akash Gowda must be kicking himself, because he was so close to making a move on Sandeep Kumar, who was all over the shop, actually. Unfortunately, made a couple of errors. But imagine for Sandeep Kumar, if he just held it together for 1 lap with Neil Jani behind him, he could have finished out as the winner of this race. But unfortunately, Neil Jani, the sight of Neil Jani just got to him.
But there is one thing that this safety car finish does give us, which is quite pleasing here in the Indian Racing League. Look at the 6 teams. 6 different teams in the top 6 positions. You can't script that.
No, you can't, and that's what we've wanted. You know, Jake, we've talked about this league being incredibly competitive. Now, we're just wondering whether the cars will just follow the safety car into the pit lane. They should.
Well, do you know what? They haven't given us confirmation that this is the final lap.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that on the screen at all. Are they going to try and give us one more racing lap?
Hang on, I think we are getting, from what I'm hearing, the safety car will come in at the end of this lap and we'll get one final lap of racing. So strap yourselves in. This is going to get good because Neil Jani, Sandeep Kumar, Akash Gowda, who's chasing him down, this is going to be a straight-out battle for one lap from here on.
Oh, and that's a stationary Sandeep Kumar! Sandeep Kumar of the Chennai Turbo Riders!
That is unfortunate.
Oh,
that
I
is
can't
gut-wrenching.
believe it. Second place is up in smoke. Oh, that's agony. That is agony for Sandeep Kumar. Under safety car, clearly some kind of misfire or some kind of electrical issue, and it's cocked them out of an almost certain run at second place.
Well, I wonder now if we're just going to finish the race under the safety car.
I think we are. I think
because
you might be
unfortunately,
right.
I don't think they saw that coming. The safety car will now continue and we will finish the race under the safety car. But for Sandeep Kumar, for Chennai, we were just saying it, an important result, big points in the bag. That all goes out the window. But having said that, for Rishon Rajiv and Bianca Bustamante now, that's a podium.
Well, if you ever wanted to know what a commentator's curse looks like, that was it. That was it
blame
right
us,
there.
Jake. Don't blame us. We've sat here, thrown our lungs out for these guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a shame. That is a real shame for them.
Yeah, you've got to feel for them. So this is effectively what we think is going to be the final lap that they're on. Around the final turn, we will potentially see the checkered flag with a stationary car out of position. They will come through, and if this is indeed the checkered flag, then it is going to be... Oh! There is no checkered flag! Oh my word! There is no checkered flag. So if they feel that they can get Sandeep Kumar's car up and running, well, out of the way, then maybe they are going to try and get at least one racing lap in.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether the safety car is going to pull in at some point and we get one lap of racing. It's what everyone wants. It might just make for a proper spectacle for the sake of this race as well. But remember, it is a timed race. It's not based on laps. So perhaps the race director, the stewards have made a decision to have that safety car come in by the end of it, give us one clean lap of racing, which is what I think every driver would want as well.
And now, all of a sudden, look who's in second place. Rishon Rajiv has a chance to go for the victory. He was a lap down 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
and now he has a chance to win it all.
Akash Gowda, Rishon Rajiv. It's going to be a proper fight. We said for Sandeep Kumar and for Chennai, it's an absolute shame because the second car as well of Parth Godpade and Nicole wasn't looking quick at all. They've had issues, but it is just now apparently going to be a finish under the safety car. We're just getting confirmation of it.
Right.
And maybe that is the right result under the regulations as well.
Well, it's because they can't move Sandeep Kumar's car as quickly as they thought they might, and obviously a very tricky situation. So, well, it's a good effort from the officials to try and get us racing for one green lap, but obviously if Sandeep Kumar's car can't be moved quick enough and the car is still stationary on the circuit, you don't risk the lives of the drivers out there.
So I think the safety car will pull in and then the drivers will finish in formation.
Yeah, as they do in Formula 1.
Exactly. You've got the lights out from the safety car, so you should see the safety car pull into the pits. The drivers won't be allowed to pass, and they'll finish in the same formation as they come past the finish line.
So near and yet so far for the Bangalore Speedsters. Managing to get onto the lead lap through all of that. They could have had a chance of going for the win, but they are going to get a podium at least, and that is... an absolute heaven sent as far as they're concerned.
After the massive tears for Bianca Bustamante that we saw after the last race, where we saw her downstairs next to Ollie Webb, we'll now see big smiles on her face as well, which will be so nice for the young girl from the Philippines who's thrown everything into this weekend.
Well, Neil Jani is backing them up for the ceremony of it, but he wants to come through and finish the race in fine style. Out of the final turn, he will come. The Hyderabad Blackbirds will see the checkered flag, and it is a victory for Neil Jani and the Hyderabad Blackbirds. Second place for Akash Gowda and the Speed Demons Delhi team. Third place for Rishon Rajiv and Bangalore Speedsters, and hopefully this time they'll be able to keep the podium, and that'll be 2 podiums out of 3 for them. Sahil Shah, a great run from him in 4th place for the Goa Aces. Checkered flag has been waved. Fabulous win for Hyderabad Blackbirds after all of that.
Nice to see Anush Bala. Checkered flag out. She's up there as well. Really nice scenes here in Chennai as well. A really good race overall, but unfortunately we had to finish on the safety car. I think it was the right call in the end, but at the end of it all, a man who's used to winning, a man who's used to controlling situations, he did it under pressure. Take nothing away from Neil Jani. It may have only been a couple of laps from him, but he piled on the pressure very quickly on Sandeep Kumar, forced the error, got out in front, and yet another win therefore for the Hyderabad Blackbirds.
You've got to feel for the Chennai Turbo riders. They were so near to a victory. They actually got out of the pit stops in first position. Sandeep Kumar, they were leading, and then on the restart, all Neil Jani had to do was intimidate into turn one. He dropped it, he managed to catch it back into second place, and then a mechanical problem putting them out under the second safety car period. So cruel.
Really glad for Akash Gowda as well. It's a good combination in that car, Akash Gowda and Shahan Ali Mohsin. Shahan getting a win earlier in the sprint, backs it up now with a podium in the feature race. That's a very solid weekend for the Speed Demons Delhi, who coming into this weekend in Chennai needed the points badly. They were sitting dead last. Both those young men, Akash Gowda and Shahan Ali Mohsin, doing a tremendous job.
A fabulous race. It was kind of spoiled by the safety cars in the end. It was very dramatic and it was very tight, and that's the luck of the draw in the feature race. The man I feel the most sorry for out there is Oliver Webb. Poor bloke, he still hasn't driven a lap in anger. He still hasn't driven one racing lap in the Indian Racing League.
Yeah, you've got to feel for him, Ollie Webb. He's a great guy, one of the better blokes you'll meet in the motorsport world, but he'll also be hoping for some points for his side. There is the winning car pulling up, and Neil Jani is used to this, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. This is his bread and butter. He comes to play. He wants the challenge of racing to win. And after the weekend they've had, which has been fairly miserable by comparison to last week, they have taken a win. We have had 3 different teams now take the victory. Godspeed Kochi, Speed Demons Delhi, and now the Hyderabad Blackbirds. What a weekend.
What a weekend indeed here at the Indian Racing League at the Madras International Circuit. We've been enthralled with some great racing. We've had drama all along. We got drama right there till the very end. Akhilesh Reddy gives him a nice hug. There comes the teammate Akhil Rabindra, who did a great job to keep that car out in the mix, but also a word on these boys. What a job he's done, Akash Gowda.
For me, these pair were the pair of the day, without a shadow of a doubt. The way that Shahan Ali Mohsin soaked up the pressure and got the win in the sprint race earlier, and Akash Gowda getting them up there into second position in the second half of the race after Shahan Ali Mohsin's brilliant stint. For me, you can give the win to Neil Jani. They deserve it, but this crew is easily the crew of the day.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. Nice to see Anindit Reddy, obviously a bit deflated by troubles for Lola Lovenfoss as well, come in with a hug. But yeah, this pairing, fantastic. Also the pairing of Rishon Rajiv and Bianca Bustamante, I think they've been outstanding. Unfortunately for her, the jump start knocked her back to 8th when she was 3rd on track. But this is a young Indian pairing that have been excellent to watch. And I think Somil Arora's got a couple of them with him.
Fabulous stuff. Really great racing. Sunil is downstairs, and he, I hope, has been able to grab our race winner.
Well, folks, we're right here at the podium places, and now I've got the winner of this race. One half of the winning team, Neil Jani. Neil, firstly, many congratulations, but what just happened there?
Well, a little bit of strategy never hurts, no? In the end, Akhil did a great job. He kept him out long, and he made up good spaces. And then on top of that, the safety car came. So the strategy completely worked out for us. And then I could overtake Sandeep into turn 1, and that was P1 then. Not sure what happened to him. It's very unfortunate there.
And when did you realize you were P1? Because you clearly got the pace after the safety car, but then you were on the track at least behind, I think, 9 odd cars. So were you ever confused about what was going on?
No, I was thinking that the Chennai car, so Sandeep in front of me, he would be P1, so I knew I have to try and get him as quickly as possible, so I managed that in the first lap. And from there on was, seeing where we go, and the team also showed me the board. So I could figure it out more or less.
And Akhil, also, congratulations on the win. How is that first stint for you? And you guys are now winning everything. Does it now feel like you go into every race knowing that you have a chance to win?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough stint. I was behind a car in front and couldn't get by. I was really hoping I get some free laps. I was lucky that when the pit window opened, the few cars in front went in and I could put some fast laps in. And then, to our luck, the safety car came out, and then we still pushed, and then we came in and had a good pit stop. But yeah, it all worked out. You need a bit of luck sometimes.
And the pace was incredible as well. So many congratulations to the two of you. But now, folks, we've got to go to Sukhmani.
All right, I have Akash with me now on number 2. Congratulations. Akash, that was one hell of a race with so many twists and turns. When did you realize that you were at number 2?
Well, only till the end. I was like, after the safety car, we were surprised because we were supposed to be number 1. And I think the safety car, I think there was a little mess up there. But yeah, we ended up second. But I think we're happy with it, but we would obviously wanted to go first. I think Shahan did most of the work. I think hats off to him because he did most of it and I just maintained it. So yeah, it was a really good race.
Well, I'm just going to say the teamwork is what I'm going to give the credit to here. But let me come to the next question, which is last weekend was not the best for you guys. It was a bit unfortunate, but this has been a great comeback for you guys. How are you feeling now? What's your strategy for the next week?
I mean, when we entered into this round, we saw the thing. We were last in everything, and we were like, "This is not happening. We're meant to be on the podium, and we're right here. We're right now. We're on the podium. We finished first. Now we finished second. So next weekend we are pretty strong, and yeah, we look forward to it. I think we're on the podium for sure."
Well, this weekend saw them have a podium and a win, so it's been a great weekend for you. Round 3 has been a great weekend for you. Congratulations and all the best, guys. Back to Xerxes for round.
Hi, with me are Bianca and Rishon from Bangalore Speedsters. Number 3, finally we're on the podium. Bianca, race 2 was a little hard for you. We almost made it to the podium and then there was a penalty. But now, there you are. You're back on the podium. How's it feel?
Just amazing. Like, you know, race 2, I gave it my best. I worked so freaking hard. Me and my teammate, you know, all weekend we showed good pace. We topped all the pre-practice session. And, you know, for that to be taken away from us over a millimeter is crazy. So this race, you know, I was like, I'm going to give the car as best I can to Rashawn. P3, maintained a position, and, you know, he drove amazingly well, but unfortunate with a safety car. But, yeah, so proud of him. Quickest man on track today and yesterday.
Rishon, all that pace is finally converting into a podium. So how do you feel about that for starters?
I mean, yeah, it's good to be on the podium, of course, but then we all won the first place, you know, so it's fine, we'll take it. We were fortunate to be on the podium as well, so I think good points for the championship because after round 1 was really bad for us. So now two podiums in 3 races, you can't really complain too much, but the pace is there, that's good, good confidence going into Hyderabad for the final round, and yeah, just move on.
And after the wonderful start that Bianca gave you, how do you feel about the whole safety car situation that kind of like, you know, made it a little confusing? What was going on in your head?
I mean, I go to the safety car and I'm there first. So I'm like, okay, so am I leading this race now? And then when the safety car lights went off, I really thought I was the leader of the race. So I was like, okay, just maintain good tire temperature, just keep it cool, and then just do good laps, clean laps, no mistakes. And then I see another safety car, and then the guy tells me to move, go in front of him. So then I was like, okay, I was just so confused. I don't even know what I was thinking, to be honest. It was just so much confusion. And then I come around and then I'm P4. So then I was like, okay, now this is not right. So yeah, it's fine. It happens. It's a part of racing and we move on.
Well, anyway, now you are on P3, so congratulations. Back to the studio.
It's very hard to call a driver of the day, Suhail, but you know what? I'm going to give it to Shahan Ali Mohsin. He really has been the stellar talent of any of the 24 drivers in this field this weekend. He really stepped up when he had the pressure on his shoulders in both the earlier sprint and the feature today. It was always going to be very, very tricky to win. He got a second position in the feature. He won earlier in fine style. For me, the MVP of today is Shahan Ali Mohsin.
I'd like to agree with you, but only because we're 2 comms in the same box. I'm going to try and just give everyone a different bit of flavor. And for me, I think I'll tie Shahan Ali Mohsin with Bianca Bustamante.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for her, she had 3rd place on track. Yes, made that error with the false start, jumped down to 8th, and now put in a stellar drive in the feature as well. Gave them a podium, one that they deserved. So for me, Shahan Ali Mohsin and Bianca Bustamante, you're right. Shahan drove brilliantly, great win in the feature. Under pressure from John Lancaster, didn't give him an inch, and then comes in here and backs it up with another podium finish. So, yeah, brilliant from the young man there.
I'm glad you picked Bianca up. She'd have been my other choice. It was a very exciting weekend. 3 different winners from the 3 different races this weekend. And next week we go back, of course, to the streets of Hyderabad, where the title fight is going to conclude. It is really exciting. And now we know that all 6 teams have a chance to fight for the victory. We'll be back in a moment as we get the podium wrapped up here at the Madras International Circuit.
We can add it ourselves.
Welcome back to the Indian Racing League, and what a day it's been. We asked for a Super Sunday, Gaurav Dalal, and we got a Super Sunday. Neil Jani, after all the carnage, after all the drama of the safety car coming out as well, it was Neil Jani and the Hyderabad Blackbirds who somehow finished on top. But I don't think we could have predicted that. Even going into that last phase of the race, there was so much left in the tank behind him as well.
This is nowhere scripted. Absolutely not. Never did you ever expect that your feature race is going to be this. As in what the first half was versus what the second half became are 2 different races altogether.
Yeah, I think for me, Akash Gowda and Shahan Ali Mohsin doing a tremendous job as well. Bianca Bustamante, one of the drivers of the day overall. Unfortunately, she had to slide down to 8th after finishing 3rd on track in the first race with a false start. But Akash Gowda getting 2nd spot. We're just getting a look at the podium. There is Bianca Bustamante and Rishon Rajiv. Brilliant pairing. They wanted 3rd earlier. They didn't get it. She was in tears right next to the podium earlier today. But this is a result that they have wanted, they have deserved.
Bianca is my driver of the day, Suhail. By far. All means, entire composure. with a future. Yes, Bianca is the girl.
And there is second spot going to Akash Gowda and Shahan Ali Mohsin. Shahan Ali Mohsin, race winner in the sprint race, feature race podium. That is a very solid Sunday for Shahan Ali Mohsin, Akash Gowda and the Speed Demons from Delhi, who came into this weekend in last spot. But finally, again, they're used to it. Top spot going to Neil Jani and Akhil Rabindra. What a journey it's been for the Hyderabad Blackbirds, and that journey continues. They have been exceptional. They didn't think they'd be there at the top step of the podium, but Gaurav, it's yet again well-deserved. Neil Jani using all the experience, putting the pressure on Sandeep Kumar.
But here we see Bianca and Rishon getting their well-deserved third-place trophy.
Yeah, big smiles from Bianca Bustamante. Rishon Rajiv saying he wanted a bit more from the race.
Look at that excitement on her face. 16 years old, as in brilliant. Hardcore talent, and I'm sure she's going a long way.
Yeah, she's coming through the W Series Academy program as well, Bianca Bustamante. She'll be thrilled with that podium finish, but just as thrilled should be the Speed Demons Delhi. They came into this weekend dead last, and they'll walk away from this weekend with 2 shining trophies for it. Shahan Ali Mohsin, driver of the day in some sense, in terms of the sheer pace. Race winner in the sprint race today. Comes away with the podium in the big feature race. That's a lot of points to come away from, and Akash Gowda doing a great job too.
And here we have our winners for the day. Hyderabad back on top, as in they're getting too used to that spot, looks like, in the Indian Racing League.
They are. Akhilesh Reddy hands over the trophies to Neil Jani and Akhil Rabindra of the Blackbirds, Hyderabad. They've had 2 wins in the sprints last time around, a win in the feature, and now they've backed it up with another feature race win. Neil Jani and Akhil Rabindra. Very impressive showing from both those men right here at the Indian Racing League. Overall, the Hyderabad Blackbirds have had a tough weekend, Gaurav. They didn't think they'd be on the podium. They didn't think they'd be on the top step of the podium. But for Akhil Rabindra and for Neil Jani, that is a well-deserved result. When it mattered most, Neil Jani piled on the pressure, and it's nice to see him enjoying the spoils.
And over here, bringing on the team. I mean, this entire event is all about teamwork over here. So you have to give accolades to the entire team behind this. And that's their team principal mechanic who's receiving the team trophy.
Done a great job. All of these sides, they've battled hard. There's so much work that goes on. When there's damage on the car, they're working overnight to put it all together. But overall, we've had so much drama in this feature race. We talked about it. A longer race, 35 minutes plus 1 lap after. It was always going to be exciting to watch, enthralling to watch, and it certainly did give us that. Going into that first corner, Bianca Bustamante kept her nose clean with John Lancaster alongside her. But through the first part of the race, yet again, it was Shahan Ali Mohsin who was absolutely dominant, drove brilliantly to keep that side ahead. And going into the pit stops, we thought they had it comfortably covered.
Absolutely, as in the first half, like I mentioned, was a different race compared to the second half. Over here, it was all spot on with everything. The racing maneuvers were good, overtakes happened. And the moment the pit window of 12 minutes opened for that driver change is where we had some cars backing out, we had some DNFs, and then we had a safety car.
Yeah, we saw the young drivers, the Indian young lads, Ruhan Alva, you had Amir Syed, a lot of Aji Baji in that top order of the running. But at the end of it all, after the safety car came in, after all the confusion cleared.
As unfortunate as it was, Suhail, as in ending with the safety car is not what we wanted, but it is what it is. Bringing on, we have our winners on the podium celebrating. After a good weekend, I must say, as in we've had everything. We've had everything, really. Red flag to rain to safety car to brilliant racing and good quality driving.
Yeah, we've had it all, and we expected a whole lot more when we go to Hyderabad for the final weekend of the Indian Racing League. But we speak about the history of this circuit. This has got to be one of the more memorable weekends, Gaurav. Overall, as you said, we had the drama on track. We had the rain come down.
Yes.
That threw so much into the mix as well, with Akhil Rabindra spinning under the wet conditions. Today, we had Sandeep Kumar, who could have taken a win if he just stayed on track a bit longer. But Neil Jani finally using all that experience in his mirrors.
Well, local Chennai boy, Sandeep Kumar, very unfortunate of that. As in under safety car, he had hardly 1.5 laps to go. and then something happened to the car, something technical. Don't know what it was, whether it was electrical, but it was really unfortunate for Chennai.
Yeah, I think all of us have seen it in the sport. Sometimes you're leading with a lap to go and you've got mechanical issues. Very, very sad for the Chennai Turbo Riders. Yeah, I know it's happened to you. It's happened.
I've been in that, where not lap to go, a couple of corners to go and something happens. So anyway, that's what racing is all about.
Yeah, I think for John Lancaster and Sandeep Kumar, they'll take heart from the fact that the Chennai Turbo Riders had the pace this weekend, but this is the final result. Akhil Rabindra and Neil Jani, another feature race win for them. That is 50 points on the board as a result. Shahan Ali Mohsin and Akash Gowda in second spot. Rounding out the podium, Bianca Bustamante and Rishon Rajiv for the Bangalore Speedsters. And you look down that list, the top 5 finishers all coming in from different teams. Goa Aces in fourth with Amir Syed, another good drive from him, and Sohail Shah. That's a good young pairing of Indian drivers. Alistair Jung and Nikhil rounding out the top 5, but then Ruhan Alva and Fabian Bolvent in 6th spot. So a 5th and 6th place finish for Godspeed Kochi. Just tough to digest for the Chennai Turbo Riders because Parth Ghorpade seemed to have gearbox issues. He finishes down in 8th alongside Nicole Haverda. And then the combination of John Lancaster and Sandeep Kumar, who sadly had to pull off on track.
I'm actually a little upset about Alistair and Nikhil. That combo, that duo was actually very confident with their entire drive the entire weekend. So it's a little sad to see that they ended up at 5th, but I guess the entire mix of whatever's happened through the race has caused this entire slip-up. Otherwise, they were brilliant talent, as in from Alistair winning to ending up 5th.
Yeah, Alistair had a huge smile on his face when he took that first sprint
Yesterday.
win under raining conditions as well, wet and dry conditions. But overall, Gaurav, how do you sum up that weekend? Because we've seen young men coming in and taking the wins. You've then got the experience of Neil Jani to finish the weekend and win the feature. But a dynamic weekend overall.
I think round 2 and 3 of the Indian Racing League over here in Chennai has been brilliant. I think we've seen everything over here these 2 weekends. And has, I think, set them really poised well for the Hyderabad coming up. The street circuit next weekend is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I was there in Hyderabad for the first weekend. It's a great circuit, that Hyderabad street circuit, as we head there as well. What can we expect? Tight street circuit.
Well. Tight street circuit always calls for being cautious. You can't really, there's no room to actually go out anywhere in any of the corners. So it's going to be a lot more concentration involved, a lot more grit and a lot more confidence in yourself through the corners over here when you're racing in a street especially.
We're saying goodbye to Madras, the Madras International Circuit. A fabulous journey it has been so far. But this is what you can look forward to next. 10th and 11th December. Lock those dates in. The final round of the Indian Racing League live from Hyderabad. That is the Hyderabad Street Circuit. A new circuit. We'll see Formula E there next year as well. Gaurav, final thoughts before we head there?
Oh, well, I think the championship now for the Indian Racing League is wide open. We've got both the races today and even yesterday. We had a variety of winners. And I think the entire championship, the points table is thrown open. We will get a confirmation of that soon once the stewards come up with the final results. But I think the championship's in for a nice finale at Hyderabad.
Absolutely agree. Thanks so much for joining us through the weekend.
My
and
pleasure.
thank you for joining us through the weekend. 3 races, 3 different race winners, 3 different teams that are winning in Chennai as well. And we will see you really soon in Hyderabad, the 10th and 11th of December. The race will continue. The Indian Racing League will conclude in Hyderabad for the finale.